OMG. Yes, yes, yes. It's the Raphael Dawkins with the Combat Radio. And we are live. And that's the wrong music. It's a little bit too energetic. Okay. Slightly slower. A nice little bounce to it. Just like the show should have a nice little bounce to it. OMG. First things first. Let's get the link up in this thing. Links in. What else am I doing? Okay. Let's get the initial screen. Let's get the initial screen up. I've got to stay off social media. This last couple of days, I've been doing the social media thing, looking at social media, and I've got to stay off the thing. Actually, I'm not even going to say that. Right about now. OMG. And in comes the man like the Leon Figures. How do you do?
Yes, Mr. Dawkins. I am good. How are you? Can you hear me? Mic check.
Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Nice and clear.
Beautiful.
And I'm waiting for somebody to ask me, who is the lady? Who's that lady?
Well, that was one of my first questions. I tried not to dive straight in. You know, Mr. Figures is a bit of a cheeky chappy, you know.
Well, I had to think about it, and I had to think about how I wanted to start this thing. And primarily, ostensibly, it is a boxing show. So you'd have thought we'd have started with the boxing first, but Rafi ain't like that. Rafi starts with whatever is on his mind. And just as I was finalizing the show, making sure I got my I's dotted and my T's crossed, I had reason to jump on social media, and very randomly, who does the Rafi stumble across? His old school friend, and let's be honest, his old school crush.
I can see why.
Oh my gosh! When I saw the first name and the last name, and those were the names I knew from school, and there was a couple of names in between, some triple barrel surname or whatever, but the first name, the last name were the names I knew her by.
Well, she's not one of those double barreled women, Charles. No, oh Lord, put me right off now.
Well, she's triple barrel because she's got a first name, a couple of names in the middle, and then a last name. I think she kept her last name. I think she divorced. I don't know. I guess kept the name of the father, the children. You know what I'm saying? School purposes and what have you. But yeah, I just randomly. I wasn't even looking for her. I just randomly stumbled across her. Rafi's old school crush. Absolutely beautiful. And so obviously the first thing you do is you go pictures, and you go through the pictures, and she's still just as beautiful today. All these years later, she's put on some chunk. She's had got married, had a bunch of kids, an extraordinary bunch, loads of them.
Fine wine.
Say that again.
Aged like fine wine.
She is aged like an absolute fine wine, and I kind of thought to myself, damn, Rafi, damn, she was right there, and I don't even know. Forgetting not. What's going on? Absolute peach. And she still looks gorgeous today. And I'm gonna have to, if it was some other people that start with the boxing, but I can't do that. I have to follow my heart. I have to listen to my heart and what's on my heart.
I don't think that's your heart you're listening to, Rafi. I think it's enough.
OMG. Well, here's the thing. You'll understand. You'll understand Bruce Boxing, Jazz, and more. How do you do? Wizard Sleeves. How do you do? Yeah, we're going to get into that. I got a nice piece on that, which probably has not been seen on any boxing channel in the universe to date. I think I'm going to be the first one to bust this one. So you got that to look.
A different take on that topic. I'm looking forward to that one coming up. We can debate. We can debate.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, 100%. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Glad to see you're still watching the sport. Yes, yes, yes. I don't know if you're joking about that because we're starting off with a slightly different type of sports. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get into the boxing, but Rafi just found his old school crush on the web.
It's like fine arts. There's something wrong if you don't stop looking, you know?
Dang. Just found her on the web. At that time was obviously past. Rafi ain't really, hold on a second. I just had to mute myself while I adjusted my mic. I need a new mic rig because this one's squeaking. So yeah, I mean, this isn't about going back in time. I mean, you know, she's got a bunch of kids now, you know, so that's where the Rafi was last night. OMG, this was, let me tell you about my school crush, one of my school crushes. Of course, there were many, but this one, let's call it Jane. This one stands out, and I tell you why. It's because I didn't actually know that she was a crush back in the day. Where we used to hang out. We used to hang out, you know, Rafi hung out with the boys, played football and all that. But there were certain classes that she was in that particular class with me, and we'd sit next to each other and we talked to each other. And I used to look at her and I think, damn, she's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. But strangely enough, Rafi was a church boy. I was raised in the church from a tender age. And the philosophy that I had, and a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, a lot of people thought we were brothers because we were always together. And our families, were next door neighbors for a long time. So we'll get into the aspect of the story in a second. But Rafi being a church boy, being a teenager, what we're talking, 13, 14, around the time when I was interacting with Jane, let's call her Jane. I had no desire. Like imagine a flower. Imagine a flower. You look at it and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But once you pick the flower, you put it in a vase. That flower is dying. You've killed the flower. Once you've picked the flower, you've killed the flower. And I can't say that was in my conscious mind, but I think it was in my subconscious mind. You know, it was in my subconscious mind. It was all a dream. I used to watch Word Up magazine. Was that back in the day when Luis Ortiz was born? That was when Luis Ortiz was Jack Dempsey's bucket boy. That was how far we're going back. Okay, so I think I just admired her. I
bet you did.
But it was years later when I realized that she must have had a lot of love for the Rafi. She when Rafi was round, she stuck to the Rafi like glue.
Yes, that's what I mean, Rafi. They just bloom and wait to be picked. She's not going to say anything to you.
Yeah,
she's waiting for you to make your move, but you was being a good wholesome.
I was being too wholesome of a church boy. Now the funny thing is, don't get it twisted. You know, Rafi would go to the school disco. Rafi would hold up a gal and, squeeze up a gal mutually, of course. But what I'm really saying is that, have you ever met a girl and somehow you thought she was too good? You thought she was too.
I would still give it a go.
somehow you just think she's too good. You think she's too pure. You think she's too, you almost put her up on a
yes, I know what you mean. Yes.
On a pedestal. You put her up on a pedestal. She's there. She wants to be picked. She wants to be plucked. She's right there. She's right. She's right there. She's ripe. She's right there. But somehow you put her up on a pedestal. You put her up on a pedestal, and then ballroom dancer versus MMA dancer. Yeah, we're going to get into that. But we're going to call this the story of Jane. The story of Jane. And then something terrible happened. But even I was so blind back in the day. I didn't even see it as terrible at the time. That same friend that I used to go to church with, the same friend that we were always together. You know, when you saw him, you saw me. That same friend. I must have come to our school disco. He went to a different school, comprehensive school, senior school, and that same friend ended up dating Jane. OMG. OMG. My friend ended up dating my crush that I didn't know was a crush.
No.
Talk to me.
Absolutely. Well, that used to annoy me, to be honest, because when I was younger, I used to. I'd talk to a woman, and she would say, "Oh, I like you, but my friend has a crush on you."
Dang.
And I was like, "But I don't like your friend." And she said, "I know, but I can't do that." I mean, we would always end up seeing each other in secret, but
yeah,
it was like, my friend can't find out because my friend. And I was like, "Listen, I'm not a stray puppy to be claimed.
Yeah,
I don't want her. So tough." But I've always known that. I've always realized men don't have that. It's like, boy, if you don't go for it, bro,
yeah. Well, I didn't even register. Like, I just thought, oh, I've kind of felt good for them, you know.
That's what I mean. You never said to him, "Oh, you can't have her," because
no,
I like her.
You know, but I didn't know I liked her like that. I just admired her. But and at the time when he started dating, I didn't feel bad about it. I didn't feel bad at all. You know, it didn't even really register to me on any kind of
thing. You off though. If a girl I liked dated somebody I knew, instant loss of attraction. Like,
I think that happened.
Just put me off.
I think that happened. I looked at it differently.
Yeah,
I looked at it differently. I looked at her differently. I didn't.
His flag there now. I don't want to go to that terrain.
Yeah, well, true, exactly, 100%. Yeah. So I kind of looked at it differently. So the stars were out of my eyes. I didn't see a halo around the head. You still see a halo there on the top of the head.
I still see a halo, but
yeah, I didn't see the halo no more. There was no halo no more. But I don't know how this started. I think it started at the school disco. I don't know how it ended. I wasn't really too conscious of it. I wasn't really watching it. All I knew is that they dated for a while. And when we were about 13, 14, they dated for a little while. And then that was that. But the halo was gone. She would still stick around me like glue certain times when we were together. But I really didn't realize that how I didn't fully realize, didn't fully comprehend that I wanted her as my girl. I wanted her as my girl because she was around me so much. I didn't fully comprehend that, if you can understand what I'm saying to you.
Sort of.
I didn't comprehend. She was just another hot girl around me. But she was very hot. Anyway, he dated her. They stopped dating. It wasn't acrimonious or anything like that. I don't know any details, never inquired was never told. But then years later, that same friend, this is where it kind of gets interesting, is Frank Sanchez, Luis Ortiz's uncle, might be his nephew. But years later, check it out, same guy. Years later, we ended up having a bus stop. Well, it wasn't really him having a bus stop. I had a bus stop with him. Because what I noticed over the years is that he could never just go up to a girl and chat her up. Couldn't do that. But what he could do, what he's very good at, is if we're in a group, you're in the group, and he sees you talking to a girl.
Oh no.
He sees you,
one of them slime balls.
He sees you talking to a woman. And then, because my technique is, well, one of my techniques is, if I go out, I don't just fixate on a woman. One of my techniques back in the day was that I talked to multiple women, and see what was the best fit. You know what I'm saying? Just
pick a mix.
Yeah, exactly. I talked to multiple women in one night and see who was the best fit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like competition that I have. I'd be hosting the competition, find out who's the best fit. So not just me, but anybody in the group. If he saw anybody in the group talk to a woman that he liked the look of, after that person had walked away from that woman, then boom, he would be in. But he wouldn't do it beforehand. There's something about his confidence where he couldn't do it beforehand, but once he'd seen you do it, he'd be, yeah. And next thing you know, you turn around and he's talking to that woman. Now, that woman might have been the one who could have won the competition that night. I don't know. But dude's in there, and dude is...
latches on like a flipping thirsty puppy on a hot summer's day.
Latches on like a limpet. Latches on like an octopus, just latched on. So even if I decide later on that, you know, that she was the best, she was the pick of the crop, and that option's not there because man's there, your man's there.
Doesn't let go.
He don't let go.
That smell.
He won't let go, and he will give her 100% of attention. 100%. So she's gonna feel good. She's getting 100%. That's the target. He ain't looking left. He ain't looking right. He's focused totally on her 100%. And so now she's out of the mix because he's took her out of the mix. Because he's seen somebody else talk to her. Now he has the confidence to go ahead, but he didn't have the confidence beforehand. So that was his MO. So I stumbled across something that always works in those scenarios. Yeah.
Whenever I'd be out talking, there was a group of girls. And if I was in the mood to talk to multiple people,
yeah,
I would always wait till there's a point in the conversation where she's laughing, because I'm quite cheeky. I always drop these little innuendos or something. There's always some little joke going on.
Oh
a
yeah.
Little funny joke. And I'd wait to, but it couldn't just be, it had to be like a heavy laugh, not just a giggle. It had to be something that really, really got them.
Yeah.
As they're laughing, I'd walk off and go and talk to somebody else.
Dang.
But they would always come back to initiate a conversation. So even if a little limpet like him would come along, when they'll go, because if he stays with them all night, you'll get that quiet phase in the conversation. You get that quiet moment.
Definitely.
As soon as there was a quiet moment, she'd then walk off and come to resume a conversation with me, because it always got left with a laugh or some kind of joke.
Yeah.
And then so those little limpets that it would really annoy them.
Yeah.
But somebody there trying to latch onto was kind of like unhook themselves from them.
Yes.
Come back over for the more entertaining hook.
Yes. Well, what happened in this situation is that I'd seen it on several nights out, because he lived out of town. He moved down south. He moved down to London. He was working down south. Well, he's still down there now. And so when he come up, you know, we would get together. I have a few of my friends, and one time I had a bunch of guys. They were from the gym. gym. They were trainers, and they were younger guys. And I noticed him doing the same thing to them. And I thought, nah, I ain't having it. Not tonight. This is the last straw. So I said to him, because I knew he didn't know that I was watching. I knew he didn't know that I'd been clocking the behavior over years. And on this one night, I said to him, why are you doing that? He said, what? Why is it that you wait until a guy talks to a girl and then you go in on that girl that the guy was talking to? One of my guys, young
What did
guys.
you say?
What did he say? Well,
Did he realize he was doing it?
Say that again?
Did he even realize he was doing it?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm talking about a strategy. This was a strategy he'd been using for years.
Oh, how sad.
Years. And so I said that to him. And he said, you wait until the guy moves off and then you go in on the exact same girl, not a different girl, not the girl's friend, but that exact same girl who that guy might want to return to. You go in on that girl. And you've been doing it for a long, long time. And I'm watching. He said, what? He was stuttering, stumbling over his words because he'd been exposed. And he knew he was exposed. And he didn't know that I'd been watching. He didn't know I'd been clocking. But I just waited until he did it to somebody other than myself. And then I hit him with it. And he stuttered and blustered. And I wouldn't do so. I don't even know what he's talking about. Put his drink down and walked out. And I thought, yes.
But even so, right? What's wrong with saying, boy, it's the only way I can really talk to women, to be honest. I get a bit nervous just approaching by myself. So I kind of wait for somebody else to break the ice. And okay, what's even wrong with saying that?
Well, that would be honesty. And obviously, he wasn't interested in being honest. That was his whole MO. And then I kind of reflected back. I reflected on things from the past, situations from the past. We had a house, a family home, and he had a big cupboard, walk-in cupboard. And back in the day, people used to buy newspapers. We would have newspapers every day. And we'd store the old newspapers in that cupboard. And there was a man who used to come around collecting paper, recycling even back in them days. And we'd unload all of these newspapers. So one day, for some reason, he wanted a newspaper or something. I said, yeah, go in the cupboard. There's newspaper in the cupboard. There's newspapers in the cupboard. And then about a week or so later, I went over to his place. And he's a musician, I'm a musician. So we were going to have a jam session. I walked into his bedroom. That's where we'd play music, we'd rehearse. We're in a band together. And then I saw an album on his wall, 20 Mod Classics. Now that was my album. I didn't want it particularly. That's why it was in the paper cupboard. So that paper on the LP that could probably be recycled. But I saw it on his wall. Now he asked me for a newspaper. I said, yeah, go into the cupboard.
But he took your album.
And he took an album and put it on his wall.
I've got a thing about theft, you know.
Talk to me.
It brings out violence in me. Somebody feeling that they can steal from me, whether I want it or not.
Yeah.
Because the worst,
I didn't tell him he could take the album. I didn't tell him he could take the album.
That's what I mean. It's even worse when you all you would just do is ask, and I would have given it to you.
Mm.
But now you've taken it. I feel disrespected.
Yeah. Well, what he did to me was he showed me that he was a thief. He had a thief's mentality.
Definitely.
Ironically, he went on to become a policeman.
Of course.
In the Metropolitan Police.
Makes sense.
But he had a thief's mentality. So I saw that. I thought, you're a thief. You're a thief. And then I remember another story when a neighbor of ours, because he was a pretty tight-knit West Indian community that we were raised in here in England. And we had a neighbor, female. Well, it was a big family, bunch of girls. And only a couple guys, but about 4 or 5 girls. And there's a park about a mile and a half, about a mile and a half from where we lived. And one of the girls walked. He was walking to the park, in the summertime, young summertime park, sun shining. So sometimes we go down there and see what was happening girl wise. So she said where he was going. Where was he going? He told her going down the park. They walked down to the park, and he said when they got down to the park, he saw some other people, and he left her. He left her. And he told me that story as a story of triumph. And I looked at him and I thought to myself, what a horrible thing to do. That girl was like one of our sisters. She was kind of like one of our cousins. And you have her walk you down to the park and then you leave her with nothing to do.
Scumbag.
Scumbag. I always remember that story. That was when we was young, but I always remember that story because that speaks of an individual's mentality. And that was the mentality of the guy. So, yeah.
No, go on.
So that's the background. That's the background to the mentality. And I never connected that mentality to Jane, my school crush. I never connected the dots. And it was only when I stumbled across her, Jane, the story of Jane. It's only when I stumbled across Jane on social media minutes before we went live today that I finally connected the dots. Check it out. With that mentality, we went to the school disco. He knows Jane's a friend of mine. I must have been talking to Jane. What does he do? He goes in, but I didn't realize. I didn't clock on. And that's how he started dating Jane. It was his normal MO, his usual MO. I realized that, for the first time, you interjected in something that really you shouldn't have been interjecting in. Just dawned on me. I just connected the dots and I realized, OMG, thief's mentality. And of course, after we dated, I had no interest anymore. And that is the story of Jane. OMG. I let a little interlope.
And the sad thing is, he's probably more than happy eating the scraps.
Yeah. More than happy. And the ironic thing, like I said, we mates, we hung out.
Or was he just seeing you as somebody that actually had conversation skills?
I think that's it.
And just hung about like a vulture.
I think that's it. That's exactly what it is.
Unable to hunt for himself. He's scavenge.
He's a scavenger. That's exactly what it was. And I never understood the depth. I mean, I got rid of him like about, was it 5 years ago? We had the blow up. About 5 years ago. And I was very happy with it. Very happy with the result. Get this, because then at that point, that's when I realized you're a scavenger, but I never really thought back.
Well, because you're not a scavenger, you're not even looking at it like that. So it's not the thought of scavenging isn't even on your radar. You don't even notice it. Because I had to explain this to my younger brother. He used to call himself like a lone wolf, and I used to say to him, people say a lone wolf as if it's a case of they don't need to hunt in packs and they're strong. I was like, the lone wolf is rejected.
Yeah.
Unable to hunt and scavenges.
Yeah.
It eats the scraps off of the pack's kills. Like people say it's the lone wolf as if it's some symbol of strength. But the actual lone wolf is actually weak. They're like they've been rejected for whatever reason.
That's true.
Similar to these people.
Yeah.
When you find out what they're like,
Mm, mm,
reject
mm.
them. I don't want you around.
Well, that's what happened. That's what happened. But I never really connected all the dots. It was literally just before we went live when I realized there was an OMG moment. I realized that this dude was a serial offender, and he got in the way of me and the crush that I didn't really realize was a crush. I just thought she was a beautiful gal who loved to hang around me. But obviously, when you look back, you realize that she was just waiting for the Rafi to
Make your move. Come on,
yeah.
Bobby. Make your move.
She was just waiting. She was just waiting. It just occurred to me when I saw her picture again, I started connecting some dots, and I thought, wow, wow, wow. And the final story on him, just to show the mentality that we're dealing with. The final story on him was that he went over to his sister's house. Sister had a friend. He was a DJ, and he left something like a couple of gig hard drive at her house. And of course, the scavenger, with music, probably like 20 years worth of collected music. And of course, the scavenger hooked it up and copied all of the man's music, 20 years worth of music.
The man has no damn shame.
The man has no shame, and he had the audacity to tell me the story as
He's
if
the kind of person that would go to a pub and drink the last drips of beer from a bloody pint glass.
Absolutely, it's wicked. It's wicked. Because he told me the story as if he hadn't done anything wrong. Oh, and the end of the stat story is that the guy found out what he'd done and went ballistic on him. And then he told me the story as if to say that the other guy was in the wrong.
Yeah, what's he getting upset for?
Yeah.
I only copied it. I never stole it.
Yeah. That was his mentality. I've only copied 20 years worth of effort. 20 years worth of effort. Now you just copied it and you've got that for free, and you don't see anything wrong with that.
The guy's not got no shame.
No.
They're the kind of people that will go out and beg.
Yeah.
And beggars can actually earn good money.
Very good money.
Never had shame. He could actually beg and often get more than somebody who goes out and works.
And this is a police officer we're talking about.
It doesn't surprise me. I think I've always said that a police officer is they have to think like a criminal.
For real. For real. So I just connected the dots. Rafi only just connected the dots. That an interloper, shameless scoundrel got in between me and my high school crush. OMG. OMG.
Talking of so-called friends, inverted commas, that it takes you a while to realize something because it's not in your nature.
Yeah,
I had one of those. Well, I had a couple, but one of them
too. But carry on.
One of them in particular. My first job was in McDonald's. Started working together, and just struck up a friendship. Seemed a cool enough guy.
Yeah,
and his dad was into weights, bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And like so was he, and then like I got introduced into it through that, and we spent years in the gym, and I thought we were genuine friends. Like, when you'd freaking die for someone.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But me and him eventually fell out.
Yeah.
Because the girl I was with at the time, the two of them hated each other.
Oh, but, the girl and the guy.
Yes. Yeah, and it's as you thought. So when me and her stopped talking, when me and her broke up, we was on and off when we broke up.
Yeah.
Later found out that him and her were now talking.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, what a scumbag move. Like, the amount of shit I got from both of them.
Yeah.
If I'd sat down and told him what she had said about him, and I told her what he had said about her.
Yeah.
The two of them would feel like complete fools. But then I just thought the two of them were just taking me for a complete fool. So I kind of stopped talking to him.
Yeah.
And then Rafi, we were quite popular.
Yeah.
Um, he his name was Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to, when I was younger, I used to look like some model, Tyson Beckford.
Yeah.
So then they used to call us Mike Tyson. Like he was Mike and I was Tyson.
Uh-huh.
So we was, you know, we were pretty boys.
Yeah.
And girls used to love us. It was like one of those, isn't it? Like it was just always had the pick of the girls.
Yes.
And where as soon as they found out we stopped talking,
Yeah.
we used to talk to a lot of girls.
Yeah.
Every single one of them said, he would always say, "Who do you like better?
Wow.
Who do you like better?" And I was just like, the first time it was funny.
Yeah.
The second time, and then I was just like, it was like every single, and they was like, they could not wait to tell me.
Dang.
As soon as, yeah, proper. And I was just like, I just never even registered. I never even, whatever issue he had with me,
Yeah.
or whatever inferiority complex he had,
Yeah.
I just was not picking up on it.
Mm.
It's just one of those. It's just interesting. Just these little character traits people have.
Well, if you mention that, I've got to mention the ultimate dog. The ultimate dog. But I've got to mention him if we're going along this line. I've got to mention the ultimate dog that Rafi has met, or that was in Rafi's circle. I got to mention him. Honorable mention goes out to Ainsley. Got to give him a shout out because he was next level. Nothing to do with Jane, but along the lines of scavengers and dogs. Yeah, he's got to get a mention. Okay, so the story of Jane goes to leads into Ainsley. Now, story of Ainsley, he was a cat who presented himself as a pious individual, very pious. And I met him through religious circles. A friend of mine, he had a brother. There was just two of them. He had a younger brother. Now, this friend of mine, he was a girl magnet. He really was. I'm not saying I wasn't, because I kind of still am in a lot of ways, strangely, as a big man, but strangely. But hey, that's just how it is. So
once you have it, Rafi, it never goes.
Well, I keep myself in shape. And I wear nice clothes. Even if I'm going to the gym, I still look pristine. Not just nice clothes, but freshly washed. I always look fresh and clean and well presented to this day. So, and I stay fit. So that has an impact. You know, I'm not going to mince words. That has an impact, and I see the impact that it has. But I'm not talking about me right now. So, this cat I'm talking about, Simon. His name's Simon. I was best man at his wedding years later. His brother. He only had one sibling, and it was a brother, a younger brother. Oh, me and Simon, we were out all over the country. We were out all over clubbing all over the country, north, south, east, and west, and we did very, very well. I'm just telling the truth. I'm just telling you the truth. Now, the thing with Simon, I don't think he had. I don't think he was. He wasn't like some Einstein mentally. He wasn't a mental Einstein. And sometimes I honestly used to wonder. I'd pop around his house randomly, and there'd be a girl there. I don't know where she come from. He could have just been walking on the road, started talking to her, and boom. You know, a couple of days later, she's at his house. Anyway, I'd walk in, and there'd be another girl at his house. And I used to think, but your conversational skills are good. You can hold a conversation, but it's not like you're mesmerizing. And I used to honestly wonder, well, you can hold a conversation. You do hold a conversation. You talk to these guys. That's why they're there. But it ain't really particularly highbrow to me, and it ain't mesmerizing, but time after time after time after time, I'd find hot looking girl randomly pop around to his house. There'd be another hot looking girl there. But anyway, just telling you the background, the backstory of his lifestyle, more so than mine. I mean, I lived that lifestyle, but he was on it like steroids. Anyway, his younger brother, his car broke down, and he pulled over on the shoulder of the motorway. Americans call it the highway, the motorway, and I think he made whatever call he needed to make, and then he got back in the car. Mistake. A big truck plowed into him. The car turned into a ball of fire, and his brother was basically cremated in the car.
No.
Yeah, it was cremated in the car, and it was my friend Simon who had to go and identify the body. So, of course, the body was just burnt up. It was just burnt up with some, crispy flesh matter on the bones. So he had to see his brother in that state, and obviously that had a big effect on him, a psychological effect on him. He obviously went through a mental trauma, and he sought solace. He looked for answers, and he looked for answers in religion. He found an answer in religion. We're going back over 20 years now, and he's still in the religion, still a believer. Anyway, so he turned his life around. And he was in this group, this Christian group, and he actually moved into that. They had a pub, but it didn't serve alcohol, and they had rooms upstairs. It was a big establishment, and you had a few of these guys, Christian guys, who lived upstairs, and one of them, his name was Chris. Chris was a really nice guy. He'd been troubled. He was an ex-drug addict who had turned his life around once again through religion. Turned his life around. He was I can only speak as I find it. He was a really pleasant guy. He was a man's man. You know what I mean? Kind of like a rugby. He played rugby as well. So he was a man's man, but a thoroughly decent man from what I know. That was the impression I got. Thoroughly decent man. His name was Chris. Okay. A white guy. And he was a white church as well. So, a lot of white guys. Anyway. So Chris, who lived at the house, he had a friend called Ainsley. I call him White Ainsley because I got a black friend called Ainsley. This is White Ainsley. So, they had pool tables downstairs. So we go play pool, etc., etc. Chill out. I'd still a good friend of Simon's, so he'd invite me around. I'd go around. By this time, I'd kind of left religion, but I had a good understanding of the Bible and etc., etc. So I could still relate. I'd left that behind. So now, yeah. So Ainsley's in the group. Yeah, Ainsley seems like a really nice guy. He was with them, with their group, and so there was. Yeah, okay, fine. So at some point, Chris got married again, I think, for the second time, and he moved away. That's Chris. That was how I met Ainsley. Okay, so one day I said to Ainsley, where's Chris? I don't see him around no more. And then Ainsley said, oh, Chris is bad news. I thought to myself, what? Chris is bad news? He said, yeah, Chris is bad news. He said that I said something to his wife. So I think, wow, that's strange. That's weird. Okay, and I left it. That was that. Okay, you made an allegation, whatever. Okay, fine. So me and Ainsley, every now and then we go out downtown for a drink. Okay, cool. Everything's cool. copacetic. So then Ainsley had a friend from work called Dave. So I said, Ralph, I got a friend from work called Dave. Why don't we drive over such and such and pick him up and he can come with us for a drink tonight? I said, cool. So we drove over. I drove over to his friend's place, Dave. Went into his flat. Yeah, cool, nice. Seemed like a mellow guy, very mellow, cool guy. Cool. So he jumps in, we go for a drink. Everything's cool. So now it's me, Ainsley, and Dave. Occasionally, like about once a month, we'll go out for a drink together. Sometimes maybe even twice a month. But anyway, that's all good and that's all fine. Dave's really cool. And Dave didn't live far from me, so sometimes I go around and chill with Dave for a couple hours at his place. Oh yeah, he moved. So he basically moved down the road from me randomly. So yeah, I pop in once a week or so. And he said to me, Raf, there's something really strange has happened at work. And I said, what? He said, well, I started talking to this girl, this woman, and then, you know, we got friendly and I started dating her. I said, that's good. He said, yeah. But then one day I walked into work. She just blanked me. I said, what? Yeah, like ice. She just blanked me like ice. There was a wall of ice between us. And I think Ainsley has got something to do with it. And I think, So Ainsley said that him and Chris fell out because Chris alleged that Ainsley said something to his wife. Now Dave, and that came from Ainsley's mouth. Now, and it wasn't true. Now Dave is saying that he was dating a girl at work because they both work at the same place. And all of a sudden he turns up to work one day and the girl ain't talking to him no more. It's like ice, cold, ice cold. And he's got a sneaking suspicion it's got something to do with Ainsley. So we both sit there and ponder, go, So there was no proof. It was just a vague suspicion. Okay, cool. So we hanging out now. We're hanging out, and there's a couple of times when I felt that somehow, couldn't prove it, that Ainsley had sabotaged a situation with a girl. There's a couple of times, and I thought, I couldn't prove it. I said to Dave, yo, is this guy a bit of a saboteur? Because I can't remember specifically how it went, but I had to say to Dave, and Dave said, I think he might be. Somehow he kind of messes up situations somehow. And then one night, it was just me and Ainsley. Went out to a place, and I literally just walked past two girls. Remember Robert Palmer's song, Addicted to Love, when you had them girls in the band? It was an all-girl band. Did you ever see that video? Addicted to Love? I don't know if Leon Figures is still there. Could be eating some Five Guys burger. But anyway, she looked like, I walked past this girl, she looked like one of them girls out of the video, Robert Palmer, Addicted to Love. And I just walked past her, stopped, turned, I'm behind her, just walked up behind her, started talking to her. My hand on her hips, on her waist, and she was having it. She was cool, super. She was down with it. And she was a little bit sassy as well. Sassy mama, foxy mama. And she gave me some sass. I had to use some humor and whatnot, and it was going swimmingly well. And then Ainsley talked to the one who was in front. They both looked great. Dressed in black skirt, black dresses. Both looked great. Fine figures of women. And when he didn't get through with her, I'm getting on well with this girl I'm talking to. What does he do? He starts whispering in my ear, Raf, they're not interested. Raf, they're not interested. Of course, mine's interested, his isn't. And I kind of literally, palmed him away. And I'm talking to the girl, And what does he do? Comes back. Raf, they're not interested. They're not interested. So I looked at him like, get the F away from me. So he backs off for a little bit. Talk to the girl some more, woman some more. In my ear. Raf, they're not interested. In the end, I was so sick of the interference. I just walked off. Left the girl, and walked out of the place to go to the next place. What I should have done, he said, I should have just took him to one side and said, listen, don't sabotage what I'm doing. You've done it before. Don't do it again. But I was just so, he was just ruining the vibe. He was ruining the vibe. So I walked up. I walked out to the place. Okay. Talked to Dave about it. He said, well, that's sabotage. I said, okay. If we continue to hang out with him, we're going to have to be very careful. And I was. So I'm watching him now. When we go out, I'm watching Ainsley. And then, do you remember a girl called, what was her name? What was that woman's name? Let me pull her up. What's her name? Sophie Anderson. For people who don't know who she is, let me pull her up. S-O-H-I-E. Sophie Anderson. Is it Anderton? English model. Okay. Sophie Anderton. Okay, so there she is. Let's get her up on the screen. Where are we? Let's get her up on the screen. There is it. No, there we are. Okay, so there she is. So she was like a caramel version. Of Sophie Anderton. And I'd seen her around a few times out there on the club scene. She was always with another girl, turned out to be a sister. And I noticed that she kind of, as good looking as she was, she kind of seemed to keep a wall around her. Guys couldn't penetrate the wall, you know? But on this occasion, I think it was the second time that we've been having clear eye contact. Happened before. We would exchange glances. And now we're in the same place again. I said, okay, tonight's the night. I'm going to go for it tonight. Okay, so I got talking to a sister at first. And then she came around. The caramel Sophie Anderton came around. And as good looking as she was, and as fine shaped as she was, you know, she could play it cool. She could afford to play it cool. She played it cool. But nonetheless, we got talking, and pretty quickly, it was established that she liked me as much as I liked her. She was as impressed with me as I her. It was mutual. But bear in mind, I'm keeping an eye. I've done this away from Ainsley now. We got distance between us. You can't mess this up. You cannot mess this up. Got distance between us. So it's going on great. We've even agreed that what's going to happen. We've even agreed that what she's going to do. She's driving, so she's going to say to her sister, yeah, she's had enough for the night. Have you had enough for tonight? Yeah, I've had enough for tonight. She's going to drive her sister home early, drop her sister off, and she's going to come back for mine. So that was agreed, and I kept Ainsley well away. I was checking his location. I was making sure he's far away from me, far away. So eventually he comes around talking to the sister. I was going to drop him off. Sophie was going to drop her sister off, and they were going to come back together. I think I said something. I think I said that to him. Actually, I said that to him as I walked past him. He wasn't near them. He wasn't near them at the time. I walked past him to go to the bathroom, to the restroom. And I thought everything was safe. There was distance between them. Everything was safe. I just said that to him as I was passing him on my way to the restroom. Okay. When I come back from the restroom, are you there? Are you there, Leon? Are you there? Okay. So when I come back from, I'm talking to you people then, you people in the chat. So when I come back from the restroom, White Ainsley is with the gal then. So there's three of them now, standing in a kind of circle. So I think nothing of it. I come back, and at that point we were going to start saying our goodbyes, our fake goodbyes. I come back, and the sister of Sophie, she said, "What's this about? Me getting dropped off and you two going out together?" After I was in complete shock. Ainsley had done it again. Ainsley had done it again. He'd sabotaged it. He sabotaged the thing because now the one sister's upset with the other sister. I was lost for words. I couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable. He'd done it again. He only had a minute. I was only away for a minute in the restroom. Yes, I did wash my hands. He'd done it again. The John Daly up in the building. Ainsley had sabotaged the thing again. My jaw dropped. I just couldn't believe it. Shock. So it was confirmed. That Ainsley indeed was a saboteur. He sabotaged his friend's marriage, Chris. He'd sabotaged his other friend's relationship, Dave. And now he had just sabotaged me and the caramel Sophie Anderton. OMG, unbelievable. And so that's why White Ainsley has to be hands down the biggest dog, the biggest scavenger, and the thing is, he was a different type of dog. It's not like he ever got with the girls. He just sabotaged man from getting with the girl of his choice. And if the guy was with the girl of his choice, he'd sabotage their relationships. How he did it, it was incredible. But as far as a dog's concerned, and a saboteur, not really a scavenger, a saboteur, he was next level. Next level, I tell you. He had skills beyond comprehension. That's Ainsley. What did I do? I asked him about it. I said, what did you say? What did you do? How did you manage to sabotage this thing again? You're a saboteur. How did you manage to sabotage the thing again? He huffed and puffed and denied. Well, you said this. You told them what the plan was. You told her what the plan was. And of course, it was my fault. I shouldn't have said anything to him. But I didn't think he had any window of opportunity to sabotage the thing. But the tiniest window, the little chink in the door, the hole in the keyhole, slid through and sabotaged the thing. And of course, he done it multiple times to multiple people and done it to me multiple times. And couldn't have that done again. Could not have that done again. And so we had to have a hard conversation. Told him what I thought. He's a saboteur. sabotage Dave, sabotage me, sabotage Chris. As far as saboteurs, what's this? Sounds like you might play for the same team as Frutch in the club. Oh my gosh. That guy, I don't know how long you've been listening, John, but he sabotaged his mate's marriage. Said something to his mate's wife. Marriage ended. He said something, we don't know for sure, but his workmates, his mate at work, was dating a woman. And one day his mate at work, his name was Dave, turned up to work, and the woman was as cold as ice. He sabotaged that. Sabotaged me on a few nights out. And then the final one was when he sabotaged me and a girl I was looking forward to getting deeply acquainted with, the caramel Sophie Anderton. And that was a shock. That was so shocking that we had to tell him what I thought. Shocking, confusing. How could he do that in such a short space of time? But that guy, I defy anybody to tell me a story of a serial saboteur to the level of this cat, Ainsley. Unbelievable. I had to get him out of my life. Dave got him out of his life. Chris got him out of his life. I don't know who he's currently sabotaging now, but he was a saboteur extraordinaire. Man sounds like he's jealous. Just saying, feminine energy, jealous. Jeez. I could understand if somebody's jealous and they try to get you, girl. I can understand the next man being jealous and trying to get you, girl. It ain't right, but it happens, and I can understand. But his thing was just to make sure that your thing got mashed up, and he did it successfully on more occasions than I could imagine. Next level. That was the story of Ainsley, which stemmed from the story of Jane, Rafi's high school crush. See there, Jane there on the screen. Found her on social media minutes before I went live. If you're wondering why we're talking about it, that's why. Still looking good. She got married, had a bunch of kids, got divorced. Rafi, you are heterosexual. I don't think Ainsley. OMG. He's a sick fella. I got to be one of the sickest fella I have ever had the misfortune to encounter. He's next level, though. Next level. Seemed like a cool guy. And then right in front, right, you turn your head for a minute and he sabotaged the situation. I've never known anybody who could sabotage a situation as quickly and adeptly as he could. I got rid of the guy. Don't talk to the guy. Anytime I see the guy, I want to just give him the biggest slap. It's more than a slap. I want to punch his head. But anyway, that's some stuff, it's stuff that men go through. It's the stuff that men go through. But there you have the story of Jane, Rafi's high school crush. He just randomly stumbled on social media. Of course, that's all in the past now. I'm not looking to rekindle nothing, but it's just good to see that she's still looking great. Still as beautiful as ever. That was her. And that would be in her early 20s. But she still looks fantastic. She had a bunch of kids, married, had a bunch of kids, and she's put some chunk on. Yes. But the face is still as beautiful as ever. And I was glad to come across her. Will I contact her on social media? I don't know. I don't know. Just let it be. Could say just let it be, but I might say hello, Jane. I might just say hello, Jane. I looked at one of the stories, and she will, if she checks them, she will, if she checks them. It's one of them historical stories, so she's not bound to check it. But if she ever does check it at some point in the future, she'll see, is that Raphael Dawkins? How many guys has she ever met with that combination of names? Highly unlikely. So if she ever does check, she'll know it's me. Story of Jane. Good to see her still looking beautiful. Okay. So let's get into the boxing. Let's get into the boxing. Okay. Where are we? Where are we? What am I pulling up? Oh no, I'm pulling that up. Oh, hold on. Let me just get the right. Let me get the right picture up. There we go. Should be on your screen now. And should be on your screen now. And in comes the man like the Iron Kong. I don't know how long you've been listening, Iron Kong, but hello and welcome.
Yeah. Good day to you, Mr. Dawkins and Mr. Figures. Yeah, no, I just reach in here. I see you was on about to leave the office, so let me come and heal you up a little bit for about 5-10 minutes and move.
Well, that's good, man. That's good. But you might want to check out the first part because it's we go back when story time. It was story time with Rafi, talking about Rafi just stumbled across his high school crush on social media.
The joke you make?
No, let me pull her up. Let me pull her a picture up. I literally just before the show started, just randomly, accidentally stumbled on my high school crush.
So hold on, let me ask a question. Okay. So she was your crush, not your lady. So she never knew. Hold on. So she went to school with you or something?
Yes.
She went to school with you. So this person never know that the Rafi had a bit of a feeling for.
Well, here's the thing. Rafi was a church boy.
Wow.
Rafi was a church boy. Don't get it twisted. The school disco. The lady of Rafi's choice. If she liked the Rafi too, she'd get a hold up, feel up, and squeeze up and kiss up. Don't get it twisted. So Rafi wasn't totally, out of the loop like that. But essentially, Rafi was a church boy them days, 13, 14. And Rafi had, a woman was like a flower. A woman was like a flower to be tended gently, handled with care. Rafi was very, very gentlemanly. So when Jane, this girl, her name's Jane, when Jane was hanging around the Rafi, like glue at certain times, in certain classes, if we were ever in the same class together, Jane would always make sure she was sitting with the Rafi. Rafi was extremely gentlemanly them days. So I just looked at her, I would look at her and think, damn, she's beautiful. But the Rafi never said, yeah, Jane, you want to be my girlfriend? Never really said that. And I'm not even sure I was thinking that. The thought would cross my mind. But more first and foremost, I just thought, damn, she's beautiful. But Rafi didn't take into account. Rafi didn't ask why she's always hanging around him when they're in the same class. When they're in the same class, she's always putting up a chair next to mine. Rafi didn't fully understand that Jane had a crush on him. Rafi just thought Jane liked him. Rafi didn't really fully understand that Jane had a crush on him. Looking back, it's very obvious and very clear. But at the time, I thought we were just friends, and maybe I put her up on a pedestal. Iron Kong. Maybe I did. And then what happened was Rafi's best friend who went to a different school. Rafi brought him to his school, disco, and he met Jane, and he must have asked her out, and Jane became his girlfriend.
Lord have mercy.
OMG.
You bring another mongoose in the hen house, but
I brought a mongoose in the hen house.
Figures. Remember Figures?
Figures might have fallen asleep, you know.
Go ahead, Rafi. Tell them about the mango story. Go ahead.
Yeah, so and Rafi was, I didn't even see it. I didn't even feel bad. I was not clued up. I wasn't even seeing things clearly. I was thought, oh, he's dating her now. Okay. And that was that. Of course, their liaison didn't last long. What we're talking about, 13, 14. We were in that age group, 13, 14. And I never looked at her the same again. I just looked at her as a good-looking girl, but I never looked at her with the reverence that I had before. And so, we get to 15. We're just friends. We're just friends all the way through. We're just friends now. I just look at her as a friend. There's no halo. The reverence is gone. Just a friend now who used to date my best friend from a different school. And I go into it deeper earlier into the show, but that friend of mine, I eventually had to have some harsh words with him and get rid of him, even though it was one of my best friends through life. About 5 years ago, I realized he moved down south, became a police officer down south, but I realized he was a dog and a thief. He was a scavenger, because whenever he came back up and we went out with a group, it'd be me and some of my friends. He had a habit, a practice. He would never approach a woman, but if he saw one of us approach a woman, and then we left that woman, he'd be in like a scavenger, like a dog, a scavenger and a dog.
Yeah, that ain't good.
Well, that's what he used to do. He'd never approach a woman until he saw somebody in his group talk to a woman. And then when that guy steps off for whatever reason, he'd be in. And he'd be a Klingon. Nobody else could talk to that woman again. Couldn't even go back and rekindle because he's a Klingon. He's there now. So when I saw that pattern of behavior repeat itself time and time again, one day I was out with some youngers. I was working in this particular gym, and had some of the trainers. A bunch of us trainers went out, and they're much younger than myself. And when I noticed him doing it to them, that's when I draw the line. Because I've been watching him. I'd had him under surveillance for years. I've been watching his little ways. Like a thief in the night. John Deagle is in. I'll chat to you in a second. John, bring you in a second. But I've been watching his ways for years. We had a house, family house, and back in the day, people used to buy newspapers every day. We used to have a newspaper every day, brand new newspaper every day. And we had a big storage room where we'd store the old newspapers. And then a recycling guy would come around, and we'd give all the newspapers to him, recycle them. I think it's free of charge. Didn't pay us, but whatever. And in that storage room, I had an album, LP, vinyl, 20 mod classics. Rafi was a mod back in the day, but I didn't like the music on it anyway, so I put that album in the storage room, the waste paper storage room, and he asked me for some paper for something. I can't remember what he was doing, but he needed some old newspaper, and I said, yeah, it's in the storage room. There is that room there. So anyway, I thought nothing of it, and then, he was in a band, so I went over to his house. We was having a jam session. He's on guitar, I'm on bass. We're in his bedroom, practicing his bedroom, and I looked on his wall, and he had the album sleeve, 20 mod classics. Now the point is, I didn't tell him he could take any records. I didn't tell him he could take anything other than a newspaper or newspapers. I think he was spraying a bike or something. He needed some newspapers to block it off and block off the background. So he said, "Can I have some newspapers?" Yeah, newspapers are in there. But he walks out with the newspapers and an album, which I didn't want anymore, but I didn't tell him you could take an album. Take the newspapers. That's what you went in there for. But he's got that 20 Mod Classics sleeve up on his wall. And I thought to myself, you're a thief. You're a thief. Ironically, he went on to move down south and become a police officer. You're a thief, you know? And then another story just to take it off so you get the full understanding of the guy's mentality at his sister's house, his big sister. I went over to his big sister's house and she had a DJ friend. And he had something like a 200 gig hard drive of music. That's probably like 20 years worth of collecting music on this hard drive. So what does homie do? He copies it. He copies the man 200 gig hard drive, copies every track on it, 20 years worth of collecting. And then when the guy finds out and confronts him, he tells me the story like as if the guy was mad for confronting him because he hasn't done anything wrong. You just stole 20 years worth of music, my friend. And I think that's when the penny dropped. The man is a thief. He's a thief. And the penny didn't fully drop until about half an hour before I went live. I got rid of him about 5 years ago. It's only about half an hour before I went live when I come across this picture. I come across Jane, who I haven't seen since we left school. She moved south. And then there is Jane. And then the penny dropped. He stole Jane. He's a thief. The man's a thief. He stole Jane from the Rafi. OMG. OMG.
No shame. We should take a moment of silence.
Moment of silence. Moment of silence, please. The John Daly is in the building.
So hold on. I just want clarification on one thing. Did
Yeah.
he steal the girl or did he just block you?
Block. I don't understand. Listen, at the time, I didn't see nothing. At the time, I was blind. At the time,
Yeah, but he's got a track record, you're saying, of doing this to other people.
Oh no, we've talked about Ainsley before when you were in the chat.
Okay.
Now we're talking about my best friend growing up.
Oh.
He's the one who stole Jane. Well,
Hold on a minute. This is even more confusing. So your supposed best friend stole your girl?
No. She
wasn't your girl.
She wasn't my girl. She was just somebody
Okay.
that I had a crush on at school, and she used to hang around me a lot when we were in certain classes together. If we're ever in a class together, she'd come and sit by me.
So really, the moral of that story, Rafi, is you got to strike while the iron's hot.
Well, the thing is, Rafi was a church boy, and he kind of put, as far as, some guys would come back to school and say, yeah, I did such and such last night, as in I had full copulative sex. I would be like, why would you do that to a beautiful girl? Why would you do that? The woman is to be
learned a
treasured.
valuable lesson from this, Rafi. That's all I can say.
Well, my mentality then is the woman is to be treasured, to be treated with velvet gloves, to be admired and treasured. And so when a guy would come back from school, 14, and say, yeah, I did such and such, I go, wow, you really have no respect for her, do you? Why would you do that? So that was my background back in them days. Don't get me wrong. Rafi would, have a hug up and kiss up and squeeze up with other girls. But every now and then he'd put a girl on a pedestal. And so even though she was around me, and even though looking back, she had a hell of a crush on me, just like I guess I did with her. I didn't really fully peeps it. I didn't really fully. So when he started dating her for the short time that they did, I wasn't even offended. It was just like, yeah, whatever. But really and truly, deep down, looking back, that guy was a thief and a scavenger.
Well, Raf, the thing is, you can't really blame him if you're not actually moving to it, can you?
Well, he didn't ask me.
But you weren't doing anything.
I wasn't doing anything, but he didn't know. How did he know that? You know what I'm saying? He was in like Flint, like a rat up a drain pipe.
But my stance on this is you learned a valuable lesson here.
Well, I mean, yeah, like I say, I wasn't fully aware. I just saw was a beautiful gal who came around me. I didn't understand.
I'm not sure. Yeah, exactly. So you gotta take these experiences on board and learn and grow from them.
Well, obviously that's way in the past. Obviously, Rafi's
I don't think this don't works anymore, Raf.
Say again.
We've all heard about the anti-gravitational device.
Yeah, I mean that's all in the past. I mean, Rafi's a skilled practitioner. Rafi's a skilled practitioner now. I mean, it has been for a long time.
Well, exactly. So this is probably a necessary learning lesson that you just needed to learn this lesson.
Well, what I'm saying is that the penny didn't drop until half an hour before the show. All this crush thing, her having a crush on me, it never really occurred to me. She was just a girl. To me, she was just a girl.
Are you sure she just wasn't copying your work because you were studious?
No, she definitely wasn't copying my work. I didn't let people do that. Definitely wasn't copying. She was just into the Rafi in a big way, which I didn't fully comprehend. It's just when I saw a picture and I looked back at her behavior with more experienced eyes, I realized now this girl had a heavy crush on the Rafi. It was a two-way thing. I don't even know if I realized I had a crush on her. I just saw her as a beautiful gal who came around me a lot. So what I'm saying is the penny, I only just connected the dots half an hour. Say again? Say that again?
Maybe she didn't think you were giving her adequate attention. And maybe she was trying to make you jealous with your mate. You don't know.
Yeah. Well, listen, looking back with experienced eyes, that's highly probable. Highly probable. She was just waiting for Rafi to ask the question. Yeah, you want to be my girlfriend? You want to be my girlfriend? You want to be my girlfriend? That's all she wanted. That's all she needed from me. But I didn't say I had her up on a pedestal. She was a thing of beauty, etc. But once she dated my mate, then that was a wrap. I still saw her as beautiful, but the halo was gone. You see the halo? You see the halo in the hair right there? That was gone.
You don't ever want to put one of those on a woman anyway.
Well, I was 13, 14. I put a halo on her. She had a halo. You know? That was a 13-year-old, 14-year-old Raf. And that's not with every girl. It's just that, every now and then a girl kind of has a different effect on you. And that
were they consistently caramel, Rafi?
No. It was caramel chocolate, dark chocolate, fucking white chocolate.
Open door policy.
Fucking every shade. Indian. Fuck, Rafi's being around the world and yang. You know what I'm saying? Like a thief in the night. So you thief your gal and your 20 mods classic outfit. Fucking hell, mate. That's exactly what happened. But Rafi turfed him out about 5 years ago. Been happy about it. I've never regretted it. Yep, sounds like teenage Rafi was slow on the uptake. Yes, I was. And had no game. But that's the thing. I had plenty of game. Girl all around me. What I'm saying,
this is the problem with the halo, Raf.
I'm not saying I didn't have game. I'm saying that I put a particular girl on a pedestal, and you're looking at her right there. There she is. Particular girl, not all girls. A particular girl.
And that's why you didn't pop the question. And that's why she tried to make you jealous with you, mate.
Yes.
To get your attention.
Yes. And even that didn't work. I still wasn't.
Well, then you removed the halo and you transferred it to somebody else. I think that church has got a lot to answer for, right?
I transferred it to somebody else. No, I didn't. I don't think I put a halo on a girl since.
Well, you see, valuable lesson then.
Yeah, that halo you're seeing right there on a head top, that's never that ain't happened since. This was the 13, 14-year-old Rafi. Nothing wrong with that, mate. Life lessons and all. Well, no. I mean, there was a rat in the camp. There was a jackal in the camp. There was a scavenger in the camp. There's something very wrong with that. If you got a scavenger around, you gotta get rid of them. Get rid of them. The ultra opportunist, and that's what he was over the years. Later on, you can see the pattern of the ultra.
I think this is a perfect segue.
Yeah, the ultra.
Because I'm sure the purpose of tonight's show is to discuss a different rap.
Well, yes, it is. But I just need to calm down. We're gonna land the plane. Just land the plane. But I don't hold anything against her. I mean, I still see her as a beautiful, beautiful gal. Absolutely, yeah. I had a crush on that girl. To this day, just looking at a picture. I mean, I wasn't gonna bring a picture up, and I thought, to hell with it. I was gonna say she looks like Sherelle. Remember Sherelle? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, love. She did that with Alexander O'Neill. I was gonna say she looks like Sherelle, but she looks better than Sherelle. She looks better than Sherelle. I look at her face there and I just think, dang, ref, you was a fool. You was a fool, boy. But anyway, that is the story of Jane, one of the most beautiful girls I have ever known. And you heard the whole story there. Rafi effed up. Yes. Okay, Jane. I may even contact you just for old time's sake, just to have a laugh. Okay, but we're gonna have to say goodbye to Jane. We have to say goodbye to Jane. Jane, beautiful girl. Okay, so let's get into this shizzle and where we're gonna start. Okay, so it might come as a surprise to many of you that well, I'm not gonna say that. I'm just gonna play the tape. I'm not even going to give it any introduction. Am I going to share the screen? Is that even the right? Yeah, that's the right one. I'll share the screen for a little bit and then I'll get at it. Let's share it. And then we're going to be hearing from the mouth of Francis Ngannou. Who is scheduled to be fighting Tyson Fury in October in Saudi Arabia. And he had some things to say. He had some for us, he's spilling beans because I don't think we've heard this from Frank Warren or Tyson Fury. Let me adjust seating position of my mic and let's get straight into this thing. Let's hear from Francis Ngannou. He's got some timestamps here. Let's have a look. Where are we? Where's that? Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go straight into it. Let's get the volume high.
It's a real fight.
Let's move the mic. Let's adjust the mic. So I don't want you to not hear this. Okay, so let's go. Francis Ngannou.
It's going on. It's going to be a fight. The only difference is that there is not a timer online, but it's a real fight. It's going on our record.
Okay. It's going on their record. It's a real fight. It's a real fight and it's going on their record. So what's going to happen is this is not a title fight. It's going to be a 10-round fight. It's a non-title fight. It will be contested over 10 3-minute rounds in Saudi Arabia. Okay, so that's the first thing. Let us hold on. What's the next thing? 13. Let's move this on. Where is it? Okay. Let's do
We're
that.
close. It's not in the topic.
Are you making more for this fight than you made in your entire UFC career?
Definitely yes.
Okay. It's a short clip, but we need that for perspective. Yes, he'll be earning more for this fight than he's earned in his entire UFC career. Okay. Let's move to the next pertinent clip. All of them are pertinent.
Of course, it's the story of my life. Everything that I have done, nobody had ever believed in me until it's done. And this was like one of the cases. And then I felt pretty good about it. I'm like,
okay, so people constantly don't believe in me, but I proved them wrong. Okay, I'm going to give you a whole of the clips and we can discuss it. And we move to the next.
all good stuff. Yeah.
Is there a rematch clause?
Yeah, there's a potential rematch clause. I don't know exactly what.
Okay, so there is a rematch clause. There's a part 2 to the rematch discussion. There is a rematch clause. It's a one. Oh, let me not jump the gun. Let him say it for himself. Where is this one? Okay. It's almost there.
For that one, definitely.
What if he beats you?
That's what I don't know. We will see how it goes.
Okay.
But yeah, that's why I have to win this fight. I have to put everything to get that rematch as well.
Okay, so there is a one-sided rematch clause. There is a one-sided rematch clause, and if people don't know what I'm saying is that the Tyson Fury who mocked Usyk, saying, "Oh, the gappy teeth rabbit needs a rematch clause." That same Tyson Fury who is fighting a guy with no boxing record. That same guy with no boxing record against whom Tyson Fury is fighting. Tyson Fury has a one-sided rematch clause. OMG. I don't think people know about that. John D. Lee. Big up the Bizzle up in the building. The Tone up in the building. Yes, John D. As a matter of fact, hold on. Let's see if Iron Kong is still with us.
Yeah, we here, Rafi.
Yeah. So there's a one-sided rematch clause. One-sided rematch.
I want to Tyson Fury gonna try to fight and then make a double more money again. Since it ain't gonna affect his record, just try to fight.
No, it will affect his record. He will be on their record.
Oh,
it's an official fight.
Well, he ain't gonna lose the belt, so just try to fight, double up on the money in a big fight in Cameroon. You know what I'm saying? And
He'll be in Saudi again.
Well, wherever.
Maybe Cameroon. You might be right. It might be Cameroon.
If I was Frank Warren, I tell look here. These two fights gonna pull me out of debt forever. So you're gonna try this fight. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna go down and we're gonna double up on the money. Yeah, so that's how it goes. I mean, everything about this fight is offensive to me personally. Being a man who watch these people try tear down Femi.
Yeah.
When Femi could have taken this fight and make the fight even bigger. Because if Femi and Francis Ngannou fight, we could sell out Abuja National Stadium somewhere. We could get the whole Nigerian government and Cameroon government to pay for
Yeah.
for 2 fights. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And even bigger. And I want these people jump down Femi throat and try hate on the kid.
Yeah.
Only for this guy who say he ain't about the money and he ain't need no Saudi money. Saudi is destroying this sport. All these people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say it before I leave, so you know, in case I get back on. All these people and the boxing media who talking about the Saudi Arabians are destroying this sport, who had all them questions for Anthony Joshua when he went to fight over there the first time.
Mm-hmm.
When he opened the market, all these none of them no longer have no questions for time about how he feel going over there with a monarchy that are bones are people.
Yeah.
Nobody feel no way about that. All of a sudden it's okay. Frank Warren, oh, the Saudis are you know, putting the whole pricing of boxing out of whack. They're all this other nonsense.
For real.
Right now.
Yeah.
You know, I just watch all these people, you know, hypocritical and how they move.
Yeah.
With Femi as compared to this clown here. That's just my opinion.
For real.
Yeah.
Big time. Big time. Big time. Is the Leon Figures back?
Yes, Mr. Dawkins, I'm back.
Did you just hear that Tyson Fury has a one-sided rematch clause against Ngannou?
Well, in the boxing sense,
Yeah.
he is, well, with Ngannou, he is very much the A side,
Yes.
and he's in with a formidable striker. I know they call it striking in MMA. So there's a chance.
Yeah.
So he's just protecting himself. It's
Is it not shocking? Is it not shocking that he mocked Usyk for wanting a rematch clause, and he's got a rematch clause against a far lesser opponent?
Yeah, but this is the thing though. Things Fury does annoys me, but they all do it. I mean, if you look back to how Usyk was with Joyce.
Yeah.
When they was talking about it, and he was saying, "Oh, going on percentages, you're entitled to 7%, so it should be 93-7." Because he was looking at the fights that Usyk, the purses Usyk got from fighting Joshua,
Yeah.
and the purses Joyce got for fighting Dubois and the people he was fighting. So as much as they hate it when they're the B side,
Yeah.
they all play A side bully as soon as they get to be the A side.
Yes.
So I struggle to have sympathy. I mean, in the case of this, if you put this down to any job, I was talking to a chef today, and I said to her, if someone's going to pay you 40,000 to cook Caribbean cuisine, or 100,000 to make beans on toast, which are you doing? And she said, I'll do the beans on toast. I said, that's kind of what Tyson Fury is doing with this fight here. He's getting paid more than double what he would to pay an exhibition, you know, with a very prestigious combat fighter.
Yeah.
Crossover. Everyone wants, well, many MMA fans and casuals will want to see it.
Yeah.
You know, and he doesn't actually need boxing fans to make his money. I mean, even my daughter, who you know, she's talking about the fight.
Okay.
So I don't think he actually bothers Tyson that boxing fans hate it. One, I don't think he cares too much about boxing fans in this, other than he gets them to buy his pay-per-views and make him rich. But two, this isn't actually boxing fans that's going to be watching this. The casual who like the crossover appeal, and MMA fans.
Well, as an MMA fan, I like the fight. As an MMA fan, because Francis Ngannou has been through a lot with the UFC. You know, the UFC, you know, they keep their fighters down. If you look at the UFC pay scale, if you look at the percentage they pay to their fighters in comparison to the percentage of profits, you'll see that they're amongst the lowest, if not the lowest major sport lowest paying major sport when you look at the percentage split of the profits, how much the company keeps and how much goes to the fighters. The fighters are pretty much downtrodden. They're pretty much downtrodden. So Francis Ngannou is a little bit of a hero in the MMA world, because what he did was he didn't take Dana White's offer. What Dana White offered, he didn't take it. Didn't think he was good enough. He had a number, and they had a number, and the numbers didn't gel. They weren't jiving. So Francis Ngannou took a risk, and he said, "Okay, I walk away. I go away. If we can't come to an arrangement, I go away." And he went away, got a deal with the PFL, a better deal when it comes to the profit share. And he paid more than he was getting paid in the UFC. But also, Francis Ngannou had in his contract that his opponents will have a guaranteed minimum. So they won't be paying his opponent's chunk change. Not only is he looking for money for himself, but he's looking for a respectable amount of money for his opponents. And that's built into his contract. So he's a different kind of cat. He took the risk of leaving the UFC, and with this one fight, he's already going to be making more than he did in his whole UFC career.
I mean, there's one guy I was talking to about it who had a very interesting take with Tyson Fury. He says, where you've got Joshua, U6 signed to Skills Challenge, Joshua and Wilder are talking about this mega offer they're going to get. He said it seems to him the only one who's actually got an offer, who's actually got the Saudi money, is Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
And he's doing it for an exhibition. And he is convinced that Fury will fight Usyk next. And that this Ngannou fight is part of their way of giving him a big enough purse that Fury wanted. Whatever they offered Fury wasn't enough.
Right.
So they said, okay, we can't give you that for the one fight. But take this Ngannou fight and Usyk next, and combined, you get the number. And Fury's thought, why not? It's an exhibition. It makes me popular. It makes me cross over to the MMA and the casual fans. So while everybody else is waiting on this Saudi money, he's saying Fury's the only one who's actually bagged it. Well, and I said, well, it only works if Fury fights Usyk next.
So he's saying that he's not going to fight Ngannou.
He's saying he's going to fight Ngannou,
right? And
then he's going to fight Usyk. But he's saying while everybody else is waiting on this Saudi bag, Usyk's the only one who's actually secured it. Fury's the only one who's actually secured it.
Can I just interrupt on this?
Yeah,
please.
It's not Skills Challenge promoting the Ngannou Fury fight.
No.
It's a rival Saudi promoter.
Yeah.
So it's
any match that goes through Saudi has to go through the royal family. So it's all.
Well, I don't know the ins and outs of that, but it's got nothing to do with Prince Khalid. And when you say he's already secured the Saudi bag, well, I'm pretty certain AJ's been paid twice by the Saudis. So, yes, he's getting paid Saudi money for this, but what are the purses?
Don't know.
Have they been disclosed yet?
No.
Because I haven't heard any rumours of the sort of figures that Usyk and AJ got for that fight. The other thing that I'd say is very questionable about all of this is I'm very sceptical it's the same amount of money that the Saudis offered for Fury versus Usyk earlier in the year. Warren and Arum both stated that was more money than Fury was going to get in the UK.
Yeah.
And Fury's got a track record of ducking fighters he doesn't want to fight.
Yes.
Price, Ustinov, Pulev. Yeah. I'd argue he's ducked AJ 4 times.
Yeah.
He's received contracts. 40% is what he was offered for the Wembley date in 2019. And he had no title. He didn't have a title. He's turned down subsequent offers from them. He's turned down the Saudi money against AJ and fought Wilder instead. When John Fury said they could have got out of that in December, but they chose not to. He's turned down Saudi money against Usyk earlier in this year. And if you're going to fight a southpaw who's very tricky, why would you prepare that with fighting against
an orthodox MMA fighter?
Well, a novice.
Yeah.
Who's not a southpaw. So I'm very, very skeptical, but it's not the same promoters as Skills Challenge. It's a completely different organisation. It's a rival promotion.
Yeah.
It's like saying you've got the UK money when you do a fight on BT Sport. It hasn't been the same type of money that people got paid when Eddie Hearn was paying. What was the purse for? He's Cameroonian, isn't he? The guy who was a late replacer for the IBF.
Takam.
Yeah. What was his purse? Because I bet that was more than Dillian and Derek got for fighting Fury. Fury got paid well.
Yeah.
But I don't think his opponents were getting paid well.
No.
And that was seen as UK money being big. When you do stadium fights against Joshua, the opponents were getting paid well.
For real.
I think against Martin got more money than AJ, didn't he?
He could have done. Can't remember.
My argument here is this is like getting the BT money version in Saudi. This is not the main promoting outfit.
It is, yes, it is the BT money compared to the Sky money, but it's for Channel 5 opponent.
Hold on a second.
But I think that's a lot about Tyson Fury in the first place.
What were you saying, Leon?
I was saying, yes, I would say that it is compared to, if you were going to use the UK example, it is the equivalent of getting BT money where Sky money is bigger, but he's fighting a Channel 5 opponent.
And I agree, it's for an easier fight. I mean, your analogy of
him getting a Saudi bag before, in this scenario, yes, AJ's already got it, Usyk's already got it, AJ's got it multiple times, but in this case, where everyone's dangling this, oh, we're waiting for this huge tournament, this huge money that's coming, when nothing's been signed. It was December, now they're saying it could be January, leaning in towards February. Whereas Fury's already got a fight lined up in, when is it, October?
Yeah.
So then this only works, my theory only works if he then fights Usyk next. And remember, whether we like Fury's antics, I think all three of us would agree that the guy is brilliant in the ring. And I don't actually think he needs to face, he needs a tune-up for Fury. I think he can just dedicate a camp.
Usyk.
And yeah, for Usyk, I think he can dedicate a camp and then take him on. I think he's happy because I just think he's just going for the money, and he's made that clear. He's made that clear, you know, with his dad and his brother going for the Misfits or the YouTuber fights.
Yeah.
I think he's made it clear he's just going for the biggest purses. He's not interested in the WBC is supporting him, allowing him to do these fights.
Yeah.
So he's not actually breaking any rules. So in that sense,
he's not breaking the rule, but he's John Daly. The link is in the chat. I think you lost your connection, you lost your sound, but the link is back there in the chat. Yeah, but the thing is taking an exhibition fight. Okay, it's not going to be an exhibition fight now. It's a real fight. It was over 10 rounds, a non-title fight. Yeah, that's all well and good with somebody who's never had a boxing match before. Yeah, that's all well and good. But people have done that towards the end of their careers. Floyd Mayweather did it at the end of his career. Muhammad Ali did it towards the end of his career. Whereas Tyson Fury is doing it in what arguably could be the prime of his career and his prime years. He's wasting his prime years fighting, and he's only fought what? He's only fought two legit top 10. Maybe Chisora squeaked in there. Maybe Chisora squeaked in there. But that was only two legitimate top 10 guys. Maybe 2.5 in Chisora. We're talking about Wilder.
If I do think of you, Rafi,
yeah,
do you get paid 40,000 to train for a marathon?
Yeah.
Or would you choose 100,000 to train for a 10K? That's the equivalent of what he's doing. He's getting easier, bigger money for the easier fight.
But then there's a question of decency.
I think there's more than a question of decency.
I'll let you in a second, John. Most boxers, they will have these fights at the end, if not at the very end of the career, in the twilight of their career. This guy, Tyson Fury, that money is still there for him at the end of his career, but he's doing it now. So to me, it's a question of protocol. It's a question of ethics. It's a question of decency. This is something you just don't do in the middle of your career, and I don't think that's a fair comparison, Leon.
Is it a question of decency, or is it a question of prize fighting?
No, I don't think that's a fair assessment, because he's turning down. Well, who would he not? He's turning down an opportunity to fight for undisputed. The undisputed is a prize which, even if he would be getting paid less money, and I'm not sure that's the case, because he's fighting with the B-side promotion, the channel 5 of Saudi Arabia. So I'm not even convinced he's getting more money for this fight than he would for the Usyk fight. In fact, I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that he's getting paid over Saudi more money to fight Ngannou than he would to fight Usyk. Remember, the Saudis will pay over and above the going rate. So I don't believe he's getting paid more money to fight Ngannou than he would be to fight for undisputed against Usyk. So I don't think that comparison works, though, Leon. John Dealey.
Well, in sport, if you're a champion, you have obligations and standards. And he's had 3 title defenses. When Muhammad Ali fought a Japanese wrestling champion, how many title defenses had he had?
But unfortunately, he's fighting for a belt for an organization that's allowing him to do it. So he's not actually breaking any rules.
He might not be breaking their rules. Okay. But I still think you have an obligation. And
but I don't think he cares. I don't think he cares about his obligation to the fans.
That's great. I mean, I think pressure should be put on the WBC to strip him. I mean, that's my view on this. If he doesn't care about all of this, that's fine. I won't be paying for the fight. I don't know how you're going to spend your money. I'm going to be very interested to see how successful this fight is. I hope it flops, because I think it's a disgrace.
I don't think it will. I think it will be a success.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many UFC fans there are. I don't really hear that many people talking about UFC at all. But maybe that's just circles I move in. I mean, personally, I think the reason that UFC makes less money in terms of what they pay the fighters is because the talent pool isn't as deep, and the competition's pretty much sewn off. So that's why I think you see UFC fighters want to get into boxing, or you get people like Dillian White, who started off in mixed martial arts, convert into boxing because there's more money, so the talent pool's deeper. We'll see. I mean, I don't know it's going to flop. I will be boycotting it. I think again it highlights the levels of hypocrisy and everything else. And I still really don't understand why the media don't hold Frank Warren to account on this. Whereas if somebody else was to do it, they'd be being torn down in shreds. If Eddie Hearn tried to promote this, the backlash that he would get would be beyond belief.
Hellish.
Yeah. I think there's a real bias in the British media against Eddie Hearn for whatever reason. Maybe
I think that's because of Eddie Hearn. I think in a sense of he got to grips with how embracing social media and the media in general can promote his fighters. So he built his promotional character on speaking, finding time for all media, whether if you've got a tiny channel and you're gonna wait, he will talk to you. He will talk to you, he will answer difficult questions. He won't ever say that's off bounds, that's off bounds, that's off bounds. He's very smart in the sense of he won't answer it and he'll take the question and he'll choose how he answers it, but he'll take it. Whereas Frank Warren, he's the opposite. He was very much, if you ask me a difficult question, you're never getting a press pass to my show again. You're barred. I'm never talking to you.
Huh.
It's just
but I mean, I think there's an element of that. I think it goes a bit further than that. It gets to the point where I see articles out there by certain journalists trying to compare Tyson Fury to the greats of previous eras. And he hasn't even proved himself to be the great of this era.
3 title defenses.
Yeah, but I mean, he's the master of saying something long enough and then people believe in it.
He's very good at manipulating the press. I'm quite happy to go along with that.
One example of that, Ben Davison said after Wilder knocked him down in the 12th round in their first fight, that Tyson Fury got up and won the rest of the round. And when I watched it, he actually didn't. What the rest of the round consisted of was Deontay Wilder hunting him down, trying to finish him, Fury dodging, and 2 punches. So he didn't dominate the rest of the round at all. But because Ben Davison said it with such conviction, people have believed it. And I think he's very much got that. If you tell a lie, people believe it and it becomes the truth, like perception being reality rather than reality being reality.
There's a better example of that in that how they covered up the Ngannou test.
Exactly.
So I remember the Ngannou test getting released, and in a very short space of time, he tested positive for cocaine. And I think that was an intentional test to create a smokescreen. To the extent that I'm dubious that he actually had mental health problems, I'm actually skeptical about it.
Many people are skeptical about that, though.
But I think that's, if he's lied about it, that's absolutely outrageous, because people have real. It can be a really terrifying, horrible.
But Tyson Fury is Luke is an outrageous fellow. Remember?
Oh yeah, it's disgusting. I mean,
remember, Luke is the guy who had the nerve, the barefaced cheek, the audacity to proclaim in public that he was going to donate his purse. Was it the first fight or the second fight?
First fight.
The first fight, the purse from his fight with Deontay Wilder. He had the nerve, he had the brass neck to proclaim in public that he was going to donate his purse from the first Wilder fight to build homes for the homeless. He had the neck. He had the neck to do that, and then he had the neck to say that, and the neck not to do that. So we're talking about a guy who has a scant regard for the truth. We're talking about a guy who has scant regard for tradition, scant regard for what people may perceive to be decent and indecent. He's got scant regard for things which many people hold dear.
Well, I became very aware of this when he suddenly became Irish heavyweight champion.
That was
Because
a brilliant move.
when he was giving the press conferences about it, about how Irish he was and everything else. Now, if you listen to his dad and him talk now, they're the real British bummers and all the rest of it when they're trying to whip up racism, essentially. They're race baiting on a quite blatant level.
Yes.
And I think that's opportunistic. I know there's been a backlash against Anthony Joshua since he went on that Black Lives Matter march.
Yes.
100% believe that there's a huge amount of casuals who resent Anthony Joshua for reading out that speech.
Yes.
And that's given Tyson Fury a greater following.
Yes.
And people really dislike Anthony Joshua on the back of that as well.
Yeah.
And I think they've tried to intentionally capitalise on it because
Tyson
doesn't care about being an Englishman and any of that nonsense. He dropped the British title and ran off to Ireland, and all of a sudden he was Irish just because he didn't want to fight David Price, because Price had beat him, and that's why Price went to the Olympics and he didn't. I mean, I've followed Tyson Fury since he was 16 on Sky, and his dad he was in the gym. I don't know whether it was actually Tesco's Joe's gym.
Yeah.
Or a different one, but he was like a 16-year-old kid and he was already like 6'8", 6'10", whatever he was.
Why was you following him?
Because I used to watch the Sky Boxing Saturday morning program they used to have.
Oh, well, I didn't have Sky.
He was on that. I've just always been a boxing fan, roughly since Bruno times.
Well, I'm a boxing fan, but I never paid any attention to
I used to just
Europe.
watch that. I had Sky and used to watch it, and I became aware.
Didn't have Sky. I didn't have Sky, so that
they were touting him as being a world champion, which he has done.
Okay.
But so I always knew who he was, and I've always liked boxing in the Olympics as well.
Right.
So I was aware of all of this throughout. I mean, like I followed Anthony Joshua since he got a silver medal in Bacau. That's why I've rated him.
Okay.
So. Like I like amateur boxing as well.
Right.
Just don't like watching amateur style for 12 rounds.
Mm. Well, Tyson Fury definitely did, I believe, capitalize on the jingoism. He's capitalized on. He's played a bit of a race card when Anthony Joshua got the backlash from his speech at the Black Lives Matter march down south. I think, as you said, Tyson Fury looked to capitalize upon that. And I think I did a video or a live show. What was he saying? He said,
Was he talking about Gypsy Lives Matter as well? Was he trying to do that?
Well, no, before that, Tyson Fury came out with I would never say what Anthony Joshua said. I would never say anything of that nature. It's wrong and it's divisive. And then very shortly after that, Tyson Fury came out with went on a march saying Gypsy Lives matters, and that march
was he organising it in Morecambe or something ridiculous?
It wasn't in Morecambe. It happened in Morecambe.
He thinks he's king of Morecambe, doesn't he?
Well, the interesting thing about that march, the Gypsy Lives Matters march, the interesting thing about that was that it was over. It was in protest of a ban of gypsies in a particular pub.
Yes.
So that Gypsy Lives
Matter. It's not
Matter,
really quite the same, is it?
That Gypsy Lives Matters march, I don't think it equated to what the Black Lives Matters march in England equated. I think there were some people dying in cells in police custody and what have you.
Well, it's not even like
it wasn't just about shops. It wasn't just about shops. I mean, it's some deep shizzle. So for Fury then to come out with a march which is supposed to be equivalent about Gypsy Lives Matters, no, what it should have said was Gypsies drinking rights matters. It was trivial in comparison to what the Black Lives Matters march was. So it was insulting in so much as that it was trivializing something that was very serious, and it was also an example of Tyson Fury. What?
Hypocrisy is the word you're
My
looking
whole
for.
issue against the Black Lives Matter.
The hypocrisy of it. Leon Figures.
But that was my whole point against the Black Lives Matter movement, in the sense of it's divisive, because saying Black Lives Matter, it's like every, gypsies face discrimination, poor people face discrimination. Do you get what I mean? It's like it's everybody else that faces discrimination. They're going to say, but what about us?
Well, they came out with the All Lives Matters. They came out with All Lives Matters. But what I say about that is, where was All Lives Matters? Where was All Lives Matters in the 60s? In the civil rights marches in the 60s? Where were All Lives Matters then? Where were All Lives Matters in the 30s and the 40s? In the lynchings down south, in Alabama, in the Carolinas? Where were the All Lives Matters then? Where were the All Lives Matters 100 years before, when they burnt down Black Wall Street? They say, well, why don't you ever do anything for yourself there? Well, when they do, people get lynched, people get burnt in the houses, and Black Wall Street was burnt down by
we're far from the civil rights.
a large mob of citizens, of white citizens. Let's be honest. But when you look in the record books and they see what it says, they said, oh, there was a race riot. There wasn't a riot. There was a large mob of white males who basically burnt down the Black Wall Street and murdered people.
Okay, I found this on the web for basically burnt down. Check it out.
Well, I think there's a more relevant instance, Raf.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, the police officers that shot Chris Cover, I don't know how to say his name, have they been prosecuted yet?
I don't believe.
Are you familiar with that case?
I'm familiar with the case. I don't believe.
Yeah, I think that, and that's just been swept under the carpet.
Mm-hmm.
So this doesn't happen to other races. We consistently see this happening specifically to black males, really.
Yes.
So it's not the same, and that's the point.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
It really isn't the same. Like, there are persecuted groups, but they're not consistently getting shot and being subjected to police brutality in the same way.
Exactamundo.
And that was in this country, I think, around the time of when did Cyril Regis get killed?
Cyril Regis? You mean
was it Dalian Atkinson?
Dalian Atkinson.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He got killed by the police not that far away from George Floyd, was it?
It was around that time, a little earlier, but a little around that time. Yeah, earlier.
So I mean, Gaza's done all sorts of crazy stuff. He didn't get tasered to death.
Didn't get kicked in the head by a cop either.
No. What about that Geordie that went on a rampage with a shotgun? I'm pretty certain they managed to get him into handcuffs, didn't they?
Which one was that? Raoul Moat?
Roid rage going
Raoul Moat, yeah.
Yeah. Didn't they manage to cuff him?
I don't know. I can't
remember. But I mean, there's loads of clear-cut examples. I remember Snoop Dogg, after George Floyd, kept posting pictures of white young Americans who'd taken machine guns into schools and shot people to double figures.
Yeah.
And the police have managed to get them into handcuffs, and they're giving them a drink.
Giving them a drink, giving them some water, getting them a burger, getting them a McDonald's.
So it isn't that other persecution is okay, but what seems to be consistently the case is that this particular type of persecution never gets addressed.
For real. And when it does get addressed, you get people like Tyson Fury who seek to minimize it. And indeed,
when I say address, Rafi, I mean actually by the people that have the power to actually do something about it.
Right.
So you hear a lot about certain minority groups and all of their situation frequently, constantly.
Yeah.
Certain states in America where there's 3 toilets and that side of things. So huge amounts of accommodation is made for those people.
Oh yeah, big time.
But you're still not doing anything to stop the police shooting certain groups of people.
For real. And
so that's my issue.
But the police lobby in America is very strong, isn't it? They've got their own.
What about Chris Cover, Leon?
In the UK.
Say that again.
Chris Cover is a guy.
Chris Carver, I don't know.
Chris Cover was a guy who got shot in London by the gun.
Executed by the police. They didn't even sound the sirens. They rammed his car and shot him through the head.
Yeah.
And those, as far as I'm aware, those police officers haven't faced any charges yet.
For real. So what I'm saying is that stuff like that gets minimized when by a man like Tyson Fury when he says, "Well, I'll never say anything like that." It gets minimized.
Okay,
And,
referee.
sorry,
Referee John. Question for you.
yeah.
Who got a bigger backlash? Fury after he made his comments about
Women being in the kitchen cooking tea. Yeah.
And Anthony Joshua with the BLM at the BLM.
That's Anthony Joshua. I'd say Anthony Joshua, because there's people. I mean, Tyson Fury has been forgiven for that, and furthermore, a lot of people agreed with that anyway, to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? Go and get me tea. Go and get me tea, even mockingly, even jokingly. There's saw humor in it, and of course, he went on to criticize certain other protected groups. Where you need 3 toilets, not just male and female, but you need a 3rd one. And a lot of people agree with that as well. Agree with that. That's ridiculous sort of thing. So I would say that even though he suffered a backlash, was it really a backlash from the people, or was it a media created backlash? I think it was more of a
think it was a BBC specific thing.
It was a BBC specific
drive a particular agenda anyway.
It was maybe a BBC thing. I wasn't paying too much close attention to Tyson Fury and that whole situation.
Well, he wasn't really that popular anyway, was he?
He wasn't that popular. He wasn't that popular. So, if the question is, who got the bigger backlash? Well, the bigger backlash came from Anthony Joshua, because Anthony Joshua was several times more popular than Tyson Fury when he had that situation. When he got his backlash, he was several times bigger than Tyson Fury. So, de facto, I think the bigger backlash was the one that Anthony Joshua suffered. There's a lot of people on the ground who just want him to box, knock people out, and don't get political. And
the other thing I'm going to say to you, Leon, standing up against racism isn't the same as being homophobic and sexist, is it?
Well, this is my point with the BLM. I think that a more inclusive message would have been end racism or end discrimination. Rather than singling out.
That's potentially correct. However, what he actually was trying to do, from my perspective, wasn't specifically divisive. Lots of non-black people on the Black Lives Matter march. The guy that introduced him into the actual speech was an Asian guy. And there were white faces there in the march. It wasn't like white people were banned.
Yeah, it wasn't anti-white.
I think, at the time of all these marches as well, there was a white guy that got trampled on, and there's that picture of the black guy carrying him out.
Iconic picture. Iconic.
So I think that's more of the anti-media agenda. Is the movement itself funded by some dodgy people? I don't know. I've heard some rumors about it. I don't know enough about it. But specifically, people were protesting about what happened to George Floyd, weren't they? I mean, that's what sparked it off.
Yeah.
And standing up against that type of behaviour, I don't see what's wrong with that. Whereas Tyson Fury was making extremely homophobic and sexist comments. I mean, they're total chalk and cheese. And I think Anthony Joshua's had a bigger backlash. I've worked with people that vehemently hate him because of that.
Yeah,
they wanted Usyk to knock him out because of that. However many years in the rematch as well. However many years after the event, whereas Tyson Fury's been completely forgiven. It's all been swept under the carpet. We never hear about it at all.
See, I think that is part of why Fury has a disdain for the fans, because Fury understands that the media builds you up simply to tear you down. Like Joshua was built up. He was a media darling. He had all the money, all the endorsements, everything. And look how they've kind of rejoiced in his downfall. And I think Fury knows it's coming. He's already been through it before he had all the money. When he wanted to come back as the Howard champion, he never got it. And then he made his comments, and then the BBC turned on him, and he's realised this. And Anthony Joshua said it. This whole popularity is fake. People don't really care. The media says all this stuff, and the second the media's willing to turn on you, people turn on you. And I think Fury understands that. And I think that's why he doesn't care for the fans. That's why he doesn't care. He's just like, I'm here to get as much money as I can.
Well, that's great.
And they're pretending to like me, and they're going to turn on me any second they want. They can bring up all the old stuff where I can say the wrong thing, and they're going to turn on me. And then it will be months and months of Tyson Fury is no good. Tyson Fury. So that's his point.
Well, it's interesting because now the what happened after the Black Lives Matters, Joshua's inclusion in that march. What happened is that whenever you go on social media and see a Joshua post, there's a lot of slagging off. Oh yeah, you're big dusser, you're big stiff dusser, and this, that, and the other, and it was a lot. But interestingly, Tyson Fury at that time was sitting pretty. He was sitting very pretty. And he thought he could do anything he wanted to do, however he wanted to do it. But then, when he started, when with the debacle of him turning down the Usyk fight, then people had to stop pretending they couldn't see what was happening. He turned down the Joshua fight. He pretended it was on. They said arbitration wouldn't be a problem. Then they found out that legally he had to fight Wilder, although they could have got out of that sometime prior. They being Warren and Fury, they chose not to. They wanted to be tied in to fight Wilder a third time. And why not? Because he knows he's going to beat Wilder every time. So when people saw that, some people kind of got a little bit rattled. Some diehard Fury fans got a little bit rattled. But they kept a stiff upper lip and they tried to pretend that, nah, Joshua ducked out. Even though Joshua said, I can fight you late December, Fury said, nah, I can't fight you late December. It's got to be early December, when Joshua just lost to Usyk. So that was an opportunist move by Tyson. Joshua said, nah, I'll fight you late December. He said, I can't because I'm fighting Usyk. Fury said, I can't because I'm fighting Usyk.
Joshua agreed to the other day anyway, Rafi, in the end.
Sorry?
I'm pretty certain Joshua agreed to the earlier date as well.
I can't remember that, but I know that Joshua said late December.
Initially,
and Fury said no.
Initially,
he said late December. Fury said no.
I think Joshua said, "Fuck it." I'll just do the date you want, and he still didn't do it because he wasn't serious about doing it anyway. It was just
Fury was never serious about doing it, but some people, some of his acolytes or whatever, not acolytes, some of his sycophants, some of his sycophants kept on trying to pretend that everything was cool and hunky-dory, but when his antics with the Usyk negotiation, his antics were too much for anyone to bear, and it became very, very clear that Tyson Fury had no intention of fighting Usyk 30-30 or 70-30 to me, or no fight. 70 to me, 30 to you, or no fight. Most people thought that was outrageous, but Usyk eventually accepted. Okay, said fine, I'll do you 30, I'll do you 70-30, and then we reverse that for the winner. So we have and then Tyson Fury comes out and he goes, no rematch for you. After Usyk said, okay, listen, I'll just take your 30-70, then reverse the split for the winner of the first fight. Fury comes back and said, no rematch. Thank you for accepting, but no rematch. And then Usyk comes out and said, well, hold on a second. You was the one who put the rematch clause in the first place. Then there was red faces on the Fury side. When Usyk agreed to the fight, Fury comes on social media laughing and says, Ah, you gappy tooth rabbit. I can't believe you've accepted 30%. So Fury himself mocked Usyk for accepting 30%. And shortly after that comes out with, yeah, fine, 30% and no rematch. So I'm going to up the ante 30% and no rematch. So Fury was very clear that he was mocking mocking Usyk every step of the way, making it very clear he did not want that fight. And as a consequence of that, even the Fury sycophants, even Fury's biggest sycophants, could see that he was BSing and he did not want that fight. Didn't want it. And as a consequence of that, what's happened now is that you go into any Tyson Fury post and it is just line after post after post after post of derision, post deriding, mocking Tyson Fury. Check it out. Pull up any of his posts on any platform and it's people just calling him a big dosser, you're a big scared duck. He's just being written off to the extent where even Big John was in an interview the other day and said, people have turned against Tyson Fury. I can't believe people are this stupid to turn it. They know it. They know that Furiosity is £1, is 3 for £1 now in Heron discount store. Furiosity is drink. Three for £1 in Heron discount store. 3 for £1. Now he's coming out with a protein bar. Just bide your time, and you'll be able to get a whole damn crate of them for a couple of quid in a couple of months.
The thing is, all of this popularity, all this purses, I don't care about any of it. Ultimately, he hasn't cleaned out the division.
Nowhere near.
He cannot be called the best of this era because he hasn't cleaned the division out.
Mm.
He's fought the most protected heavyweight champion possibly in history in Wilder. I mean, It's him or Patterson. They're the two most protected heavyweight champions I can think of. Floyd Patterson.
Mm.
Floyd Patterson or Deontay Wilder. And they were both chinny as hell, as far as I can tell. I'm still not convinced Tyson Fury is a big puncher.
Mm.
He's knocked out. One person who's been knocked out by a lot of people in Dillian. Another one who was never put in with a big puncher for a very good reason. Because we've seen in the amateur fights that Deontay Wilder can't hold punches.
Huh. You got dropped by a cup.
Well, it's like
dropped by a Russian cup.
Yeah, a little fat guy dropped it.
Yeah, little portly fella.
So I know that Wilder was protected for a reason. So I don't care about all this popularity, whether it's okay for him to do this fight. All I really care about is him being compared to Carl Froch. Put out an article the other day about he'd beat Lennox Lewis.
Who beat Lennox Lewis?
How could anybody?
Tyson Fury would beat Lennox Lewis.
Realistically, think that that's an appropriate article to write because he hasn't even proved he could beat everybody in this division.
He's done 1/10 of what Lennox Lewis did. 1/10.
He's ducked Pulev. He's ducked Ustinov. He's ducked David Price. He's ducked Usyk, and he's ducked Anthony Joshua consistently. That's 5 people.
That's crazy.
You want to compare him to Muhammad Ali? I would like to hear a name of somebody that Muhammad Ali ducked.
I'd be intrigued.
Cleaned out the division twice in 2 different eras.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Muhammad Ali fan, as regular listeners will know.
Yeah, very
I cannot criticize anything about his resume. I mean, I can make an argument for one potential duck against a man who he'd already beaten. So that's about as close as you can get. Just listed off 5 people Tyson Fury's ducked.
It's crazy.
That's what I care about. And like even like the Vlad rematch, not taking that in my opinion is a duck.
Well, that's a duck. That's a big duck. To me, you're not a champion, and to many people, you're not a champion until
he couldn't pull that kind of job twice anyway.
You're not a champion to me until you defend the belt.
Well, if you look at the last 2 rounds, when actual Vlad started letting his hands go, he started making headway.
For real.
Who's the other one? The hot dog eating champion. Because it's not just Sconias who dropped him. It's that little fat man.
Freaking hell.
Because that footage was floating around for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, the other freaking guy dropped him. He ducked Ken Norton. How could he duck Ken Norton? 43
times. You could argue that.
4 times you wanted to fight him? 4 times? You only fought 4 times? And if you fought him 4 times, you only 5 times? Come on now. You must be joking. I'm assuming
you could argue that he robbed him. I mean, I think there's an argument that Kenny Norton won the last one of the trilogy.
Some people think that. Some people think that. Doesn't
matter, it's not a duck. It's not.
Still not a duck.
Ali's fault.
Still not a duck.
On the cards.
Style makes fights. Certainly wasn't a duck. Fought him 3 times. Hey, looking at man, he fought 3 times. Come on now. And I'm in a situation.
The argument is that he ducked the rematch with
Foreman. Well, I mean, he knocked him out in Zaire.
Well, okay, but he was the champion.
Zaire.
Was
Foreman was supposed to take his head off. Foreman failed and he got knocked out. I mean, what else?
Well, the reason there's an argument for a duck Rafi is twofold. First of all, he was the champion, and often they get rematches from convention. He wasn't obligated to do so. And when they got into negotiations about the rematch, Ali made some outrageous conditions in the contract. So Foreman was offered a bit of a dodgy contract from them.
Well, you know.
So that's the strongest argument.
Ali was.
But like I said,
Ali was probably past his prime at that stage anyway, and so he'd already put the work in. Ali put the work in.
Like I said, Rafi, the only argument for the draw.
I can see an argument, but I really don't care because he fought a guy who was a killer, a guy who was supposed to kill him, a guy who was tearing people's asses up, and Ali beat him when he was past his prime. So that's
like I said, the only argument for a duck is someone Ali already beat. I've already said that. Yeah. I mean, I heard you. I'm saying. So my point is, you can't really criticize his resume.
Yeah, I heard that. But what I'm saying is that to people who will say that was a duck, well, listen, Ali was already past his prime. Ali fought a stone cold killer. Lots of people thought that the George Foreman might kill him actually in the ring, in the heat in Zaire. A lot of people genuinely thought that Ali might get killed. He's past his prime and he's fighting a killer. This could end very, very badly. He fought him once, didn't fight him twice. I'm cool with it. What are people saying here? What are people, because we're coming close to the end of the show. It's been a long time. We talked about the story of Jane. It was important to me because that was what was on my mind. And this thing here, I think the key to this thing here is Tyson Fury. It's the hypocrisy. It's the audacity. Tyson Fury, who mocked Usyk, saying that he wants a rematch. Tyson Fury has a one-sided rematch clause with Francis Ngannou. Why is there a H in there? I don't know, but anyway, it's unbelievable. It's crazy. It's hard to believe the hypocrisy of the man, of the camp, of the Fury camp. It's incredible. Have I made a video of this? No, but I think I need to. And it's advertising. We're going to talk about lots of other things, but we can't because we have run out of time. I'm going to have to save the Joshua left. Why? The reason Joshua left. What is it? Where is it? There it is. The reason why I left McCracken. We're going to have to save that for another live show because we're already 2 hours, 35 minutes deep. 2 hours, 35 minutes deep. And I think we talked about what we came to talk about in part. The other topics, we're going to have to do them. Maybe I'll do a video or do a live show maybe on Thursday and we can get into them, but we can't do everything at the same time. We're giving you 3 hours, 2 hours, 34 minutes. So I think you got your money's worth. I'm gonna have to save them topics and have to edit out the Joshua thing because we ain't got the time. It's 6 minutes to the hour of midnight, and people got to get up for work in the morning. The final words, John D. Lee. Final words, please. Thanks for jumping on, taking time out of your day to share your thoughts and observations with the people.
Thanks for having me on, Raf. I think when the dust settles, when people are retired and people look back on his career, he will not be seen in a very good light. And I'm talking about Tyson Fury. He's a disgrace, absolutely disgraceful. And that's my opinion. Thanks for having me on, Raf.
Thank you very much. That was the John D. Lee.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Absolutely. And the Leon Figures. Thank you very much for jumping on. It was we had a damn good chat today. Damn good chat.
Very, very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
100%. Your final words, the Leon Figures.
I hope that Fury's next fight is for undisputed.
His next fight after his next fight or his fight after
Ngannou. His fight after Ngannou is for undisputed. We finally get an undisputed heavyweight champion in the 4-belt era.
Well, they asked Frank Warren the other day. They said, "Will Fury fight for undisputed after the Ngannou fight?" And Frank Warren said, "Depends on who's champ." I think he meant by that, if Daniel Dubois beats Usyk, then yeah, it's on like Donkey Kong. It's on like Donkey Kong. If somebody somehow, by some miracle, by some lucky punch from the gods, that Dubois gets Usyk out of there. I don't see him winning by points, so it's gonna have to be a knockout. If Dubois gets a lucky punch from the gods, then and he emerges champion, I think Tyson Fury, the Tyson Fury will sign that contract so fast, it won't even be funny. That'll be signed. But if Usyk wins, then then Frank has implied that it's very questionable whether Tyson Fury takes the fight, because he was asked. The question was, will Tyson Fury fight for undisputed after the Ngannou fight? And Frank Warren replied, depends on who's champion. Those are his words, Leon Figures.
Yes, and for Frank to answer that, he can only if Daniel Dubois has it and the belt's all on his side, then he can guarantee it. But what he can't guarantee is that Fury is going to like the offer that's given to him for an undisputed against Usyk. So he answered it in a sense of what he's in control of. If Dubois wins, they'll be undisputed. If not, because he can't force Fury to do anything.
For real.
So he can't make promises on what Fury's going to do. Because I think he would have accepted the deal that the Saudis offered Fury for the Usyk fight.
I get that impression. Yeah.
I got the impression that Aaron was very happy with it.
Yeah.
But it's the Furies that didn't want it. And they're the ones that get in the ring, and they're the ones that make the decisions.
For real.
I think it was in that sense he was making that promise, because he can't make promises on Fury's behalf.
Well, you know how the Saudis do. They're going to pay some big money for that fight, so I don't think Fury needs to worry about splits or anything like that. There's your money, just take it or leave it type of thing. But only time will tell. Everything's up in the air right now. All I can tell the people is that Fury, after mocking Usyk, has got a one-sided rematch clause against Ngannou, and that's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me. But Leon Figures, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Great chat, and hopefully we will talk again soon.
Yes, definitely. You take care.
Fantastic. And that was the Leon figures. Okay, so we had who came in first? It was the Leon figures. It was the Iron Kong. Much appreciation goes out to the Iron Kong. And then the John D. Lee. Much appreciation goes out to the John D. Lee, the Leon figures, and the Iron Kong for taking time out of their day to come and share their thoughts and observations with us. Let's have a look at a few of these comments. Start at the bottom. So, based on what Leon has just said, Fury is ducking Usyk. Is there any doubt? Is anybody in doubt? Is anybody in doubt that Fury is ducking Usyk? I'd like to. Maybe I should do a poll, but not today. Not today. Because we're about to lock off. I think Usyk may KO Dubois. We have just seen Dubois drop by a cruiser. They have the same reach. And the difference in hand speed is night and day. And that guy who dropped Dubois multiple times was also a southpaw. Just like Alexander Usyk. Let's have a look. Where's the Wilder v. Sconius footage? Where's the footage? Okay. Fury versus Ngannou breakdown. I haven't really done the breakdown though, have I? Oh, I'll do a basic breakdown. I was going to do a video breakdown, but hi. My mind got set adrift. Set adrift on, what was that song called? Set adrift on memory bliss on none in my mind. The breakdown. Okay, so Ngannou is a heavy hitter. Let's have a look. Let's pull up one of his fights. Ngannou has heavy hands. Ngannou knockouts. Okay, let's have a look at what the hell is this? Why am I seeing that? What am I seeing here? Let's bring this up. Man, what did I do? Okay, let's have, where's his knockouts? Okay, let's try that. Okay, let's have a look at Francis Ngannou's knockouts. A few of them. Don't think everybody knows what. How Fury fights. This was early in his UFC career. Can I get that smaller? Why is that so? Is there a different way? Oh, Lord. Okay, well, let's try and see if we can get it smaller. Oh, okay, that's much better. Okay, so let's have a look here. What kind of speed is this? So we're going to slow this down just a tad. Let me try that. This is an early knockout. You'll notice him with the cane rows. Oh, Lord. There it is. Okay. Oh, Lord. Oh. Don't even need to see the finishing blows because obviously you're going to drop down and smash him, but you can't do that. You can't do that in boxing, so we don't need to see that. I'm trying to avoid any issues. any issues. So let's move that along. So you see that was a left hook, right uppercut. As a matter of fact, let's see that again. Let's have a look at that again. Let's have a look at that again. Okay, so, oh, oh. 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 So that was the uppercut, but I was really looking for, yeah. I was really looking for, do I even play again? I'm not even going to play again. Because, you know, the UFC, they be crazy over this stuff. But yeah, that was a left hook, uppercut. Is this left hook uppercut? He's got a, he's destructive. He has a destructive power. We're not going to look at the groundwork because obviously that doesn't apply to boxing. Doesn't apply to boxing. So we just look at the stand-up work. Let's find the next thing. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Okay. So let's have a look at this. We're looking at Ngannou. Okay, so he ducks an overhand right from Andre Orlovsky. Throws his left, a left hook which misses, but then immediately after the left hook is a right. Is that an uppercut? Right uppercut, or is it a hook still? Uppercut, and it is destructive. So slips a crude overhand right. Throws the left of his arm, but it's the speed at which he comes back with the uppercut. But is he going to catch? Is he going to catch Tyson Fury bending over so low like this? Is he? I don't know. Perhaps not. Perhaps not. Plus, even if Fury was bending over so low, he's still considerably taller than Andre Orlovsky. Probably got about, what, 6 inches on him, maybe. But if he touches you, if he catches you right, it's rockabye, bye. I'm not even gonna go any further into that. Not with big gloves, Rafi. I'm not sure you can compare punch power with those little mitts to punch power with 8-ounce gloves. Well, yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Fury will carry him, then get the stoppage when Francis gets tired. Yeah, and Francis almost certainly will get tired. So we got the small gloves issue, and then we got the fatigue issue. Okay, so we're going all around the thing. We're looking at the thing all around the thing. What's that? What's that? What's that? Okay. Let us move on. Let us move on. Remember, these are with the smaller gloves. Oh, this is a classic knockout. Classic Ngannou knockout. They are with the smaller gloves. True. How will that translate to the bigger gloves? It's a different thing. It's a different thing. Okay, let's have a look at this. Francis Ngannou versus Alistair Overeem. And classic KO. Let's have a look at it. Ooh. So I think Ngannou may have touched Alistair Overeem, the Dutchman, the Flying Dutchman, Jamaican father, Dutch mother, born in West Ham, England. And then when mommy and daddy split up, father went back to Jamaica. The mother went back to Holland and took the boys with her. Alistair What's his brother's name? Can't remember. Got a big brother. Alistair throws a strange overhand right, kind of aborts it. He realizes it's nowhere near. And Francis Ngannou responds as follows. An uppercut looked like it was going to take Alistair's head off, clean off his neck. Let's have a looky. Boom. O-M-G. O-M-G. What's this here? O-M-G, of course. Alistair then crumpled. And ref's over here. I don't know if the ref had time to jump in and stop the last blow to the dome piece of Alistair Overeem. Nope. He got a next blow in. Let's have a look. See this in slow mo. Bear in mind, these are smaller gloves. This is what Ngannou does in small gloves. O-M-G. O-M-G. There's no way he can throw from that low against Fury. He's also very wide. If he's that open against Fury, he will plant one right on Ngannou's chin. Yeah, gotta be way tighter. It's a boxing thing. How will he adapt? That is the question. So looking through. Who's this? Who's he fighting here? Okay. So I think this is Curtis Blades. Let's have a look. Boom. O-M-G. Okay, so what we see? See a jab from Ngannou, followed by, it's almost like a bowling action. Different arc, but a bowling action nonetheless. Caught him behind the ear. And that had dire consequences. O-M-G. O-M-G. Okay, so that was Ngannou versus Curtis Blades. And let us move on. So I think you get the gist. Of Ngannou's power, but you have to bear in mind that these are in 4-ounce gloves, not 8-ounce gloves, not 10-ounce gloves. And we have seen Ngannou tire certain fights. That's a lot of muscle to be walking around with. That's a lot of muscle to be walking around a ring with. Who's this? Ex-champion Junior Dos Santos. What happened there? That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Let's have a look at this. Oh, gosh. I don't think this is really. This relates to boxing. It's more of a ground and pound. So that is not applicable. It was devastating, but it is not applicable. Oh gosh. Okay. So in the next clip we see it can get a bit untidy. It can get a bit untidy in there. This is against, what's this cat's name? Forgot his name. Gotta be untidy. Don't think you can be throwing wide with Fury, but hey, maybe throw wide. Bit untidy. That was a great left hook. Small gloves though. And pretty sure that's all she wrote. That's all she wrote. Don't think he's going to get that wide in the boxing ring, will it? Will he get that wide in the boxing ring? I don't think so. Don't think so. So that's what you're looking at. That is Ngannou's style. Wide. Those wide shots. Tyson Fury will be looking to go straight down the middle, pick him up straight down the middle. Straight down the middle. That's what Tyson Fury will be looking to do. Straight down the middle. Longer reach. Tyson Fury will be looking to smother him as well, I think. Tyson Fury will be looking to close the distance, jab, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, close the distance, smother him, put his body weight on him. Tyson Fury wants to smother him with body weight, hug him up like the walrus of love. Tyson looked to hug him up like the walrus of love, smother him, get them big muscles tired, and do that thing. I don't see that working. Shifting like that with his chin in the air will spell disaster. Yeah, the chin up in the air. It's going to have to be a different style. It's going to have to be tighter. Will those big muscles continue to carry the oxygen? Can they carry the oxygen? Can he recuperate? Can Francis Ngannou recuperate time after time after time, or does he just blow out at some point? It's very distinctly possible that Ngannou may indeed blow out at some point. So, who do I see winning this? Well, it's Tyson Fury, isn't it? Yeah. Ngannou has no boxing fights. 0 boxing fights. Let that sink in. And it doesn't matter if Tyson Fury is the walrus of love with them saddlebags hanging off him. His technique, he's a boxer, he's a heavyweight WBC boxing champ. What do you think's going to happen? You've seen what happens when UFC guys go into boxing. And we've seen what happens when boxing guys go into the UFC. It don't end well either way. Can Ngannou buck that trend? It's possible. Yeah. Is it likely? No. But Tyson Fury's got the rematch clause in there. Shizzle is crazy. Yo, you know what? It's past the hour of midnight. And we've gone on just a little bit over, like double. But I enjoyed it. The first half was just Rafi is a cathartic. Rafi seeing his high school crush. You know, it's just on my mind. I had to think, maybe reminisce. And that was the first half of the show. That's what you get over here. The RDCR. You know, it just comes how it comes. That's my delivery. That's how I drop it. That's how we pop it. Okay. And so that now brings us to the end of the show. Have I said like? Hit that like button if you like. Subscribe if you wish. Comment if you wish. And subscribe if you like. Okay. It's been the Raphael Dawkins, the Combat Radio. Talked about the story of Jane. OMG took Rafi back a few years. It was high school days. Yes, sometimes we do reminisce, do we not? Then came in Leon Figures, the Iron Kong, the John Daly, and we chopped up the boxing. Tyson Fury has a rematch clause. I'm going to have to do a damn video on that. We're going to have to catch up on all the weekend stuff, maybe in another show. Maybe I drop some videos, probably another show on Thursday. Now the Rafi's tired, but hey, very enjoyable show. So like, subscribe, comment, share. It's the Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio. It's the like, subscribe. I already said that. We are out. Blessed.